Hey guys, welcome back to Double XP with Logan and Danny. I'm Danny Flores. I'm here with Logan Miles. And today we have a very special guest, comedian, musician, host of a wonderful podcast called Treehouse Social Club. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, Rusty Redden.
Konnichiwa.
How you doing today, Rusty?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Awesome.
I know how you are. I've been with you most of the day.
Yeah, I know, but they don't know that I know. So I need them to
Just
know.
walked in here.
Yeah. We haven't been sitting here for 3 hours talking about compression. That's not.
Just wandered off the street, and I was like, "Yo, dude, you ever be in a podcast?"
Yeah.
I don't know what XP means, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask you how you were. How are you?
No, I'm more than excellent. I'm good. I'm so happy to be here. Like, I've been looking forward to this. I don't think you guys know. I've been looking forward to this. Like, I've been wanting to do this since it started.
Hell yeah.
So I'm so excited.
I don't like to hear that because that makes there's like, oh, well, I really have to impress him now.
No, you don't.
Because I don't want him to go, oh, yeah, this is our podcast. Just watch out for the laundry and everything over here. You know?
No, I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah.
I just love talking
You're
about
just
video
like,
games.
I cannot wait for him to ask me how I'm doing. That's.
I don't want anyone to
That's all I
hype
want.
anything that I do at all. Like, I don't deserve any hype whatsoever. So it's like, I think if you keep your expectations low, you'll never be disappointed.
Hey,
Yeah.
I have no expectations. I'm
awesome.
just happy to be here. I'm here.
Good. So you listened to the podcast.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yes, absolutely. I listened to the most recent one on the way here.
Ooh, how'd you feel about that one?
It was 2 hours long, and I felt like it could have been 2 minutes.
Whoa. Whoa.
I've gotten Outer Worlds. Here's the deal. Hot take right out of the gate. Here we go.
All right.
Guys,
All right.
you guys danced around it. You talked a lot of shit. You talked a lot of good stuff. But all you could have said was it is a B- Fallout game with a Destiny travel menu. That's all that was.
Oh, the Destiny travel menu.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing, though. Like a B+
I'm not saying it's
Fallout.
bad, but
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not worth $60.
he said B-.
I'm
by
saying
the way.
it's
B-,
you should subscribe and do. I think you did like a $5 subscription. Is that right?
Yeah. We did the
Oh,
Xbox,
the Game Pass, yeah.
Xbox.
Do
Game Pass.
that, finish it in like a couple days, and then move on with your life.
Yeah. Well, here's when we got the game for less than $5. If both of us paid $60 for the game,
I did
we
that.
would have a radically.
I hate myself.
You paid $60.
Yeah.
I paid way too much.
Yeah.
I went to the.
How long did it take you to beat?
I think you said that you had a. I haven't beat it yet because I just
Oh.
don't care.
No, you got to get that money. You got to spend 100 hours into that. You got to really get your money's worth now. Yeah.
Yeah, I do. You're right. But here's the deal. I've got time. I'll do it. I'll do it eventually at some point. But I went to the game store because I was ready to buy a game, and it was number one. It had the best reviews. It was like recent, and I was like, and I'd seen a couple billboards for it, but there wasn't a lot of marketing around it, like you said, and so I was like, oh, it looks like Fallout. I love Fallout. Great. And so I get it, and about 6 hours into the game, I was like, "This was a waste of money."
You're like, this was not Fallout.
No, it's not Fallout. It is the Mandalorian of the Fallout series. That is what that is.
That's a great way of putting it. I mean, so why do you feel like it was after 6 hours? Like, I didn't like it the first hour.
It's a placeholder, man.
Yeah.
It was like, this is not Fallout. It is a hodgepodge of something that interns put together or something like that. of like old dated.
The guy that created Fallout was the director on this.
I'm
one.
sure he was, and he just mailed it in.
I mean, I would say that this game definitely felt like all these they spent so much time building a Fallout game, and then suddenly they're like, we're not going to give you the license to make a game, and they're like, well, we have all these assets. What can we do?
Yeah, exactly.
Outer Worlds.
Yes.
Yeah, man, that's another
You
thing.
did that last time.
That's another thing,
Yeah.
dude.
We
Okay, that's
gave a
my biggest
disclaimer.
beef.
We gave a disclaimer.
That's my
on
biggest
that.
beef is if you're gonna make a game, come up with a good fucking name.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think even the name was, and I knew it, and I felt it in my bones. I could do it with movies too. It is the same thing where it's like, I could tell with the name, I was like, this doesn't sound unique enough to be something that's going to really dazzle me.
But here's the thing: the name sounds like it's gonna be huge.
It does sound. It
The
sounded like it was going to be
Outer
huge. The worlds. It sounded like the
Yeah.
worlds are going to be massive.
Like open world, and it
Yeah.
wasn't.
Like,
it was Fallout open world, but it still was very
Like
small.
I
where
was
it's
imagining a
essentially on
game
train
where
tracks.
like each planet you went to was like the map was each planet was the size of Fallout 3.
Exactly.
Or at least Fallout
That
3.
was what I thought.
Like
and I was
that's what I wanted.
I just want to get lost in a game.
Yeah.
And there was no sense of that. There was no sense of consequence of like you guys said. I think you guys said this in your last episode. You can walk around with a gun and people would just be like, cool.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whereas in Fallout, people would be like, what are you doing?
You know, I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2 since then. And when you're walking through town and you have a gun, people are like, "You better put that gun out, boy!"
Right.
You know,
That's-
like, you're like, "Whoa,
which
that's
you should."
you know, I like that
Consequences.
realism, you know?
That's consequences.
Totally.
The
And,
Wild West, they didn't even stand for that
The,
shit.
the dialogue was just, and even if when you gave somebody beef, they didn't like totally shut you down. They'd be like, "Oh, well, let's keep this conversation going." And like, I did not like in Fallout. At some point, you could end storylines if you gave somebody sass too much.
You
right?
can kill anyone
Yeah,
in this game.
totally.
You could kill like your companions and stuff. I mean,
That's true.
but I still, as much as it was open and you could do some things, there was this element where it felt like you were
very
still
restrained.
in a cage. Yeah.
So it was not an Outer Worlds like what I thought. Like the name made you think it was going to be more open and more vibrant than it was, and it just sadly was not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that even
Okay.
games like Mass Effect felt more open worldy
Yes.
than Outer Worlds.
No,
Yeah.
I felt
It's about
felt
similar.
It was, yeah,
It's similar.
pretty similar.
But for Mass Effect, that kind of fits. But for a game like this, it should.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It should be much
Totally
more
not.
open.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my hot take. The more that I started, chewing on the game after our episode, there was one thing that I did kind of, maybe we were too easy on it. Was that like the game does give you like these options, and I think we may have mentioned it. It gives you like 5 options, and you go to say something, and then you do something completely differently, and and they say, "Oh, that's open. It's amazing consequence. You have all these different options." And you're like, not really.
It just felt like 2013. It was
Yeah.
2013 technology.
But the
2013
graphics,
storyline.
it felt like new graphics, but an
A
old
little
game.
bit, yeah, a little
know?
bit. Not groundbreaking, but then again, I'm working on Xbox One. I'm not like anything crazy, so. But that's the newest thing, right?
One's
Like,
good,
that's
though.
pretty,
Yeah,
right? That's
no,
pretty good, right?
I mean, but honestly, with all of it being said, all the shit talking we're doing, it is like the one game that I've wanted to beat in a long time.
Mm.
Like I actually beat it. Like there's been games where like halfway
But it
through, I'm
didn't
like,
take
I don't
that
even
long,
want
you
to
said,
finish
right?
this.
Yeah.
No, it took like fucking 15 hours.
Yeah.
I didn't utilize enough of the game. Like melee weapons.
Yes.
First weapon, I had it, and then once I got a gun, I was like, "Fuck that
Yeah.
stick!" It's like, no, I'm gonna keep the stick the whole time.
And this is a personality thing. I think I've always liked melee weapons. I like melee weapons, and like in Fallout 2, I like persuasion. I think persuasion is the one thing that gets you into any door. You'll get you can open up story arcs without having to pick locks, hack, sneak around. You don't have to waste time.
Yeah.
If you have the
Tell me the passcode.
if you have the ability to like persuade everybody to do everything, you are skipping so many hours of just needless lock picking.
Yeah.
That's true.
And then melee, I just always like to just beat the crap out of people.
That was another thing, is that the lock picking in this game was just if you have enough of those in your inventory, you press it and you hold it and you can get in.
Well, you have to have the enough skill too, because they'll be like, it'll be like,
dude,
if
I
your
wanna
skills
take
have
some
40
I wanna
things
get
and
some-
sticking in
get
there,
in there.
man,
Oh, like the
you know?
mini game,
Yeah,
like
dude.
Morrowind
like
or
that's
whatever.
kind of, I want to like art. Like I imagine like when R2D2 was on Cloud City, it turns that thing, it hacks the door.
Yeah.
Something like that, or like some games. I think Fallout even had a water pump. Like game that would go through and you had that's how you hack the system. No, that was
was
Bioshock.
computers. That was
was
no.
Bioshock.
I'm pretty
Bioshock,
sure that
when you hack a
was.
computer, there's a pipe system with water
Oh
pumping, and
yeah,
you had to
yeah,
put the
you're
pipes
right.
in.
That was Bioshock.
And that was like,
yeah.
Larry, this doesn't make sense at all as a hacking system. It's like, what language is this written in? But it was still.
But that's what makes it feel more like Dungeons
Yeah.
and Dragons, where it's like if you have enough skill, you just do it. You know, that's how I felt in the conversations and stuff like in the game, where they're like, "Oh, yeah, you have 10 persuade, so just go ahead and click this and you get it." You know, like there wasn't like, "Ooh, what are you gonna do?" You know,
like how it's sometimes
That was very easy.
It gave you one option because say if your perception say was a level 30, then it opened up this option. I would love to see a much larger selection as if your perception's 15, 20, 25, 30, where 30 is like absolutely the best one. But if you can do, as much as they gave options, it still felt closed in, and that's I wanted something.
Yeah.
that
Felt
felt more
inconsequential.
open.
There wasn't a weight to it. That Fallout had a weight. There was a weight to Fallout that like you felt things. Like you said, even with the lock picking, that was very tactile. You felt it in your controller when you were messing something up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you get the vibration.
you get the vibrations, and like Fallout was scarier. I feel like this was like a Star Wars kind of in terms of consequences. Everything was kind of still kind of. And I've not played Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, but I can imagine that's how it was. There was, not a lot of blood, not a lot of fear. The story is gonna drive forward no matter what you do.
Yeah, I guess
right?
so. Yeah, and that's
I'm
like
just
Mass Effect.
That's just conjecture. I don't know.
That's why I felt like yeah, I guess I would sum it up as Fallout with a Mass Effect mod on top of it.
Yeah. With like a little bit of Destiny, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
I did play
is
Destiny.
far played.
I played Destiny a little bit, so like I could see that.
Seems
a
little
how you like transport to those lands, and the lands don't feel big or that big. It's just you just go and like, oh, this is where the mission's at.
And that's why I stopped. I didn't get Destiny 2 because of that.
I played it for like an hour, and I was like, this is just I felt so grindy. And that's one thing I liked about this game is where it was too short. At least it wasn't like 200 hours to beat, and you're just grinding. Like another thing that I want to have a problem with is some of the missions. Did you ever find yourself going through the missions almost too fast? You're like, okay, I got to go here, talk to this guy. X. Okay, I got to go back, take this dead body, this guy. Okay, I drop it off. Boom, mission done. Like sometimes, like I was like, you kind of tune out what is even going on just to grind. And I'm like, I don't like it. Maybe that's my fault, or maybe that's the game not kind of pulling me in. I don't know whose.
See,
whose
I
fault
get that.
is, but
I get that, and I go into that mode because of my World of Warcraft days.
Yeah.
Because of my World of Warcraft days, I will like look at my map,
All the
see
loot,
where the questing
everything.
is, and I would be like, okay, I'm gonna go do all of these quests, and then by then I'll come back to town, loop around, turn in like 10 quests, and hopefully gain a level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, did you play WoW at all?
A little bit, maybe
not
a
really?
couple hours.
Did you play WoW?
I did.
Were you a WoW guy?
But I've
Yeah.
done MMORPGs. I did more Final Fantasy MMORPGs, but I totally get like the DPS and all the terminology and stuff. I get it.
He's
I
just
get
throwing
it.
words
I
out.
get it. I know what it means.
Yeah. There's
I played WoW, but I don't understand acronyms. That's the
Yeah.
Oh man, there's another thing. Okay, so if there was one set of missions, like the main quest, I thought it was so boring. But the the companion quests, the not the side quests, but the quests you do with your companions were probably the best written part of the game. Like there were some times where I was like really impressed with not only the writing but the vocal acting of some of the characters. But the problem is that their animations were so hokey because they're straight on screen, giving like an emotional performance, and you're like, this is very Wes Anderson-y. You know? And I really I thought it was like, this is this person's trying to find the bodies of her friends and stuff in this after this mission, and I'm like, really, like, this is good shit. But it's like kind of awkward how it's delivered.
Yeah.
Like a game that I compare it to is I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 now, and that game is so much more elegant with how kind of like these companion side quests go on.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the middle of that game though, but we'll talk about that when I'm done. But
save that for later.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I want to play that game too.
It's a lot.
I can't wait.
It's a lot.
Yeah, you picked it up a little bit?
Yeah, I have it. And it's another it's very intricate, and but man, I don't know what it is about not really feeling in control of your character. I don't know how we're not there. I don't understand how I can't see my guy. He's not really interacting. It's just I want that element of where
are you talking about in Red Dead 2?
Yeah.
See, I thought in Red Dead 2 there were so many times like
you're
when
the same guy. Like you can't really be like you can't be yourself.
Oh, because
right?
it's not a character creed. You're following that path.
They pay money so that you could be Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like,
But I don't want to get too much into Red Dead, but the one thing that Red Dead that I think is awesome is that when you get back to your camp and as you're walking around, some of these side characters will come up to you and follow you around and talk to continue the story. And you don't even have to interact with them; they'll come over and have a conversation. And as I'm walking through, they're following me, and I'm like, it's so natural that you don't really. It doesn't feel so rigid where you go up and press X to a guy and they talk to you. It's just naturally conversation. A guy walks by, complains about something, he walks away, and it kind of pushes the story forward a little bit. I was like, wow, that was really, really elegant with how that was done. And
it's definitely a game that if you have a girlfriend, you're really rolling the dice if you play it.
Yeah,
because if they see you playing it, they're like, wow, this is boring, and if you like this, I don't understand. I don't know if I know you anymore. Like that's like if like Call of Duty's one thing where there's like, oh, I get why you like it.
Explosions.
But Red Dead, they're like, you've been on a horse for an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
oh God,
you've been on a horse for an hour, and I'm gonna be on a horse for an hour, leaving you.
I only play between the hours like 11:30 and 3.
You have to do it secretly in the middle of the
no,
night.
she goes to bed. I'm like, oh, I just gotta brush my teeth. I'll be home. I'll be in bed soon, baby. And then I just go in and sit and play for 2 hours. The night she wakes up, I'm just like, oh shit. I had something in my
exactly.
contacts.
But they wake up. You know they're gonna wake up at some. They don't actually sleep. That's the thing is they don't
just sit
sleep.
there wide.
They don't. They're just like, I can't believe he's
waiting
still
for
doing
like a
this.
horror movie. They just
I've
go,
heard. It's so real.
I need your essence.
So real.
I need your essence.
I need the warp. I tell you what. While we're on the topic of video games for girlfriends, BioShock Infinite, good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
You know what? My ex
Girls
girlfriend, that
can
was
get
like her
behind that.
favorite game. Is that a thing?
Girls like
is
it.
That a, why?
I don't know what it is. I don't know.
It's the love story. Is it the love story?
It's a love story, but it's easy to get behind, and it's very thoughtful.
It's badass.
It's cool. It's a great game. It's one of my favorite games.
I've tried to get my girlfriend into The Last of Us because I know the second one's coming out next year, and I'm like, if you play that thing through, it's like 8 hours, so it's like, this is like a Netflix
Zombie
series, babe. It's
Zombie game.
Yeah, but it's. Have you ever played The Last of Us?
No.
Ooh, that might be one of the best games I've ever
Cool.
played. The one thing that's frustrating is it's only on PS4. I hate
Oh
these
yeah,
kind of
you're an
exclusives,
Xbox
you know?
guy.
Xbox
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah. See,
I need to get one.
that was a game I actually bought the PS3 for,
Ah.
and it was like worth it. It was where you know how like in games you run into these walls where it's like very rigid. You have to do this. That game kind of feels so open and natural, and the animations. It's very. If you ever played any of the Uncharted games, it's just awesome. Like it's just. I think I like to be honest. Games like Red Dead, games like
Far Cry.
Far Cry,
kind of.
But like I think games now are starting to show the fidelity that are surpassing a lot of like Netflix and streaming shows.
Yeah.
And I think the writing is getting.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It still used to be. It still has a little bit of campiness because it's in video games, but there are some video games who are really trying to go that super serious note, and they're doing a really good job in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, because it kind of takes you out of it, right? Like you have like the super serious moment, and they're like, "All right, man. Well, if you want to do this, just press X," and you're like, "Oh shit, I have to play."
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what other games have like super serious moments. Wolfenstein was pretty jarring. Wolfenstein was pretty.
The
crazy.
most recent one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, don't you like just double fist machine guns or something in that game? Like,
It's
isn't
I
that-
thought you were about to say double fist Nazis, and I'm like,
the
wow,
stakes.
that's
The stakes are definitely high in that game.
it's a great game.
Yeah.
By the way.
oh yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're just badass and just pop off and
Pop it
take
off.
off some heads.
Pop it
you
off.
know?
So Rusty, what was like the beginning for you? What was the
Yeah.
sort of?
I started
what's this
early,
kind of thing?
man. I started early. Sega Genesis. Was like Madden, Blitz out of the gate.
Yeah.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big thing.
Like
Jurassic
Turtles
Park.
in Time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I think
The-
so.
the one
Where
that's
it was
like
you
the
you go
four-player one?
across. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're choosing, and they're coming out of the I forget what the bad guys' names.
Shredder,
Yeah.
Shredder. I mean, but like what are the dummies? They're like called-
Bebop
The-
and
the-
Rocksteady.
no, like, but like the day to day, like
the
Oh, the foot.
Henchmen.
squad,
The foot.
something squad.
It's the
the
foot.
foot. That's
Foot
what it is,
Squad.
The foot.
I
Wait.
know this. It's the foot.
The foot.
It's the
He's
foot.
right.
The Foot Clan.
The foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they would like come out of like
You don't look
from
a bit.
underneath
That's what
the
they're
screen.
called. They're called the Foot Clan. They look like purple ninjas. They look like
No, I
like if California Raisins went on a diet.
Wait,
Like, what are you're gonna look it up?
no, I don't. It's not that I don't believe you, buddy.
It
It's
is
just
the foot.
It's the Foot Clan. Yeah. Come on.
Yeah, so I'd play that, and I would be the purple one. You know the name of it, right, Danny?
Oh, yeah,
my
Donatello.
God,
Donatello's
actually
the
it's
purple
called
one?
the Foot
Yeah.
Clan.
I
Yeah.
sworn it was Leonardo. But
I feel
No,
like
Leonardo's the
was-
blue one with
no,
the
you're
two
right,
swords.
You're right. My
He's
brother
the-
used to play
He's
Leonardo.
the leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like
Older brother?
Younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you let him be the leader, huh?
The leader? He's the leader?
Yeah, Leonardo's the leader.
I was always suspect of the leaders, I guess.
yeah, I hated how Leonardo was so serious, dude. I always loved Raphael. Like, come on.
Raphael's the
Like,
hothead.
yeah, the
dude,
leader's
no,
the easy
seriously,
one,
right?
dude, you're a fucking turtle in the sewer. Chill.
Like
Like,
yeah, smoking
we have
weed
a
and-
mission to do. You know, it takes his sword out and shit like that. Okay, dude.
Raphael
shut the
needs to
fuck
chill.
up,
He's always like,
you know?
"You talking to me like that? Talking to me like that? I stab you." He's all like freaking angry.
Whoa.
He's like, "Oh, you gotta talk like that? I'm gonna go walk and blow off some steam."
Hey, yo, Tony. Hey,
Hey,
he's literally
Tony,
he is a soprano.
the foot's here.
He-
The foot's here. They're asking about the pizza.
I don't know these guys. They
The
say
rat-
something about feet.
Then the rat comes down. He's like, "Don't give them the pizza." That's what it is, right?
Yeah,
Dude,
That's what the whole.
if someone
Oh,
made
like
a
it's-
Ninja Turtle cartoon that was like in the theme of The Sopranos, dude, I'd watch the fuck out of it.
One of them's in psych.
It's got Michelangelo popping ecstasy. I'm partying it. Yeah, Dad. Serving.
Yeah. Yeah. So Teenage Mutant Ninja
Turtles in Time.
Tur-
Yeah.
Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Good game.
Or the I think it was Super Nintendo and
Jurassic Park.
arcade.
Jurassic Park.
Sega Genesis Jurassic Park.
Yes.
That game was hard.
It was hard.
That game was hard.
It was hard. You're right. Was it just Jurassic Park? I think it was just called Jurassic.
Yeah, it's just called Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
It was you would take turns either being the main character or you could be you play as a raptor for some of the levels.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was so freaking hard. And you would just sit there as the main character, you would shoot these like tranquilizers. You just be like
Yep.
just shooting tranquilizers. Like there's that one level that's kind of like the roller coaster in Universal where like with the waterfall and then the head of T-Rex head pops out
Yes.
and you just have to go and just like
Dude.
shoot the crap
Just
out of
bringing
them.
back some like.
Yeah.
This was like a side scroller, right?
Yeah, it was really
Wasn't-
good.
Weren't
was
all these?
hard.
There were so many of these games like Aladdin, X-Men.
Aladdin. Yes.
For Sega Genesis, they all felt like the same game, but they just changed
Kind
the
of.
Yeah,
sprites
and they're
on
all
it.
super hard.
And yeah,
Lion
crazy
Very
hard.
tough. Lion
Yeah,
King.
Lion King,
Lion King.
is famous for being
Yes,
like a crazy
dude.
hard
fucking-
game.
When you were
Yeah.
oh my god, when you were you were trying to jump under the thing.
Yeah.
Aladdin did the same thing, and
What kind of cruel joke was this? Where like, oh, the
Dude,
little
if you guys
the
want to
little
play,
kids
I would
like
play
Disney?
Aladdin just to
I would
watch.
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I'm down.
Let's do that. Let's.
Oh,
we're
you
gonna
have it?
Yeah, I
Oh
got
my God.
controllers. I got
That's
it.
Hell
crazy.
yeah.
Oh, well,
All
we
right.
made it.
Yeah,
We
you
got a
guys
laundry list of
listening,
things.
be sure to check out. We're gonna do some let's plays
We might do
after
multiple just to
this.
backlog 'em.
It's gonna be exciting.
I'm trying to think of the other one. Sonic. I think that was that.
Well, which
just
one
about-
was the game changer for you? Like, which one's the
wasn't
the
anything
game
on Sega?
that made you wanna like
Yeah.
I want to play this game for hours and I'm just like magnetized to this
yeah.
game.
Okay,
you know?
I'll rush through the next few. So I got a PlayStation after that. Crash Bandicoot was a lot of that. I'm just trying to think what all was happening in PlayStation.
Crash Bandicoot,
Yeah.
the very first one.
very first one.
Yeah, that was actually
all of them.
That was actually really big for me because when I got my PlayStation, I got it in like a Costco bundle, and it came with Gran Turismo and Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah.
And I played Crash Bandicoot non-stop.
Yeah, dude.
But the sad thing is I don't remember beating it. I'm pretty sure I beat it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, it was just a lot of boxes, lots of spinning. You were spinning a lot. You don't remember a lot. But I think I've missed something. I skipped over N64. My buddy had an N64. I never had an N64. He had GoldenEye, and he was very into like Soviet Russia and like communism. He's a big
This was
fan.
mid-90s. It
he's
was just right after the Soviet Union fell in 91,
Yeah.
so they were still kind of like...
And he was a
Oh,
big
dang.
Soviet, and that makes sense.
GoldenEye came out in 95, though.
Right.
So it was still... We were still
But he
in
was
that.
just a big fan of like. He's a big fan of Karl Marx to this day, and like and it was it just didn't know. I was like 5 or 6.
So shouldn't that mean he hates GoldenEye then? You know, fuck this
I don't
game.
know.
You know?
James Bond's just killing my dudes.
Yeah, I don't know. He's I don't know. Either way, he enjoyed it, and I think he just enjoyed like the history and like the for whatever reason. I don't know.
If you want to just, shout out his address and his
Yeah.
name.
It's part of the Red Scare. No, but
What would Walt Disney
dude, we used to
do?
play GoldenEye like every day. I used to go over there and play GoldenEye. So that was probably the first game changer for sure.
Yeah.
for sure.
Big first-person shooter guy?
Big first person shooter. That was when I was like, it was the first one I really played, and we put all the cheat codes in.
Yes.
It was communal because I played it with him.
Big head mode, dude.
Big head mode,
Yeah.
paintball
Paintball
mode.
mode was sick.
Paintball mode, so you can see where you hit them.
Yeah.
Pop, pop.
You just cover people with paint.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
But like when you go back to Crash and you said that you don't remember beating the game, I find that when I go back to some games that I loved playing and that were my favorite games. There were a lot of games that I realized that I never beat. I just would like get so far, and then I would just like fuck around, you know. And on GoldenEye, like I beat the game, but I've never ever gotten to the last 2 other levels, the Aztec or the Temple levels.
Dude,
I never played those.
Yeah.
But I do remember like literally just fucking around with glitches and stuff like that, like stacking enough mines to be like 6 feet tall, and then you're like throw a mine on a guy when he's walking by and he has a mine on the back of his head, just like glitching around and playing around. Or there's like a glitch where you can somehow equip the tank as a gun and you can just walk around and shoot tanks.
I do remember
everywhere.
walking outside of the map and being able to like live outside of the map. I don't know if you could ever go back, but I do remember like there was a glitch in one spot that you could go.
Yeah, there's like the whole Game Shark. I'd never really gotten into the Game Shark thing,
yeah,
but there's a lot of. So remember the first level on the dam level? Remember there's that on the back island of the dam. Like when you're on the dam and you like. GoldenEye, like when you play the game at agent level, it's just, you know, when you run through the dam and you jump off the dam, that's pretty much it. But and then when you get to like secret agent and then 00 agent, you have all these other like things to do, like hack this computer underneath the dam and stuff. Yeah. And so as people were playing, if you play at 00 agent, there's sometimes they'll have other things you have to do,
micro missions.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hidden stuff that people don't realize. And so when you're on the dam level, but you know, there's the dam, and behind the dam on the, you know, if you equip a sniper rifle and you look really really far off, you can see a small little island there. And that was like an urban legend, like of all my game, my N64 buddies would be like, oh yeah, that part they were gonna put some huge, you know, mission there, but they just ran out of space on the cartridge and stuff. And there's all these. So like, did you guys ever hear any rumors about that island and stuff like that?
It sounds familiar.
So what actually happened was you know, like. These rumors come, you know, like kids will come up with things because this is before the internet. You know, someone will be like, "Oh, this has happened here" or something. I don't know where. Like, you know, Marilyn Manson got his ribs removed to suck his own dick. You know, how the hell did we all know about that in middle school? But yet we were on three separate parts of the
middle school conspiracy theories.
I immediately know
all the middle school conspiracy theories are all about dick.
And this was there was no internet at that time. You know, it was naturally spreading. Like guys would go to like high school, like other, you know, intermingle, and slowly would spread throughout the culture. It was like, yeah, Marilyn Manson.
Somebody said that little Bow Wow was molested by his limo driver or something. All these.
Oh, I don't know about
remember that one.
No. That was only in my school, apparently.
Wait, is
my circles run deep.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you're on the dam level, what I actually found after doing some deep digging on the internet is that there was this idea that you would you know, clear out the dam, and then you would get on a boat and then drive to the other side of the lake, and there was an island there with a gun, and then you would like clear that out, and you would do another objective, and you'd get body armor and stuff. But it wasn't that they ran out of space in the cartridge development time. There's actually a lot that has been cut from GoldenEye. Not a lot, but like there are certain levels that are still on that. If you use the Game Shark, you can load up a whole nother level that's like the Citadel.
Whoa.
But it's not. I mean, it's just like you walk through and it's like no clipped and stuff. But it's an asset that's still on there. It's just not connected to anything.
It's like
and there's
little like Easter eggs. But they didn't want it to be Easter eggs.
Some of them,
unfinished.
Some of them are in Easter eggs, but then, and this is actually very prevalent in a lot of video games, that the game, there was just a lot of stuff that they meant to do, but because of just development time and just, you know, they have to get the game out by holiday, which was November 1997. You know, they just cut a level here, cut this, or cut that, or something.
Wow,
like that.
dude.
And that's what, you know.
Wow.
But with the Game Shark
right now,
speaking of, so there have been numerous remakes. There's been a game called GoldenEye Source, which came out in 2003 on the Source engine. Then there's somebody who remade the GoldenEye facility level on the Far Cry 3 engine, which is kind of it's cool, but it's still a little rough. But then there's a guy who's now trying to remake the game on the Unreal 4 engine.
Nice.
And if you see videos of it, you're like, this is some hot shit. Like, this is beautiful.
Nice.
But
yeah, I saw it.
Like,
still,
you know, you're going through, but it's still it's amazing because it's beautiful looking, but it still kind of has that clunkiness of like you're in the vent, and then suddenly you're on the toilet, and then you open the door, and then you walk, and you're like, okay. I mean, it's like the tile and the shadowing and the bump maps. You're like, this is beautiful.
Yeah, you
graphic.
still chop like
Yeah.
this. You just,
You
the
know?
weakest chop, just chasing someone down. It's like you're in The Shining or
speed,
something.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
So those last 2 levels, the Aztec and the Egyptian one, have you
Right.
guys ever played those?
Yeah.
no.
Really?
Yeah.
I
Yes and no.
went to started to play some of those again, and like, whoa, like off the map kind of a, like, you start the level and it's very Moonraker-y, and there's some old Live and Let Die references and stuff, and which is cool, but it's like that game is going to be 25 years old. And wait, 20. It came out in 1997. It's gonna be old as fuck next year. And
The scientific term.
Hell yeah.
yeah.
All
So
that can be.
and so like I can't believe that I've played it. And for example, I played it and beat it, but I never completed it to 100%. But I would just glitch around and do a lot of different things. There were times where I would put so many mines on top of one another when I had the infinite ammo that I would click Z to blow them up, and my game would crash.
Oh, that's the best.
You gotta blow on it.
When you
And then we
break
gotta
your
blow it.
console, that's
Yeah.
the best.
And so you have to get the expand, and once you get the expansion pack, then you can do the 4-player, and then you can have, and it was great because it went from 4 megabytes of memory to 8, which is
Wow.
like
Oh, I didn't know that.
insane megabytes of memory. It's just,
oh, well, what is it? Is it called expansion pack? Is that what
yeah,
it's
it was that
called?
little red
Yeah,
thing that you put in
that
the
you put in
center of
your
it, and
in-
like
in
so like
64.
where GoldenEye you
like more
needed
RAM.
it to play, I think 4-player, because you
Oh.
could play 2-player fine, but 4-player was just probably too much
The frame rate
resources.
was shit.
It really
yeah.
went down. To play Perfect Dark, have you ever played Perfect
No,
Dark?
I haven't.
So Perfect Dark was the successor game that they made, but it wasn't off of
Both
James
of those games
Bond,
were made by Rare.
made by Rare. And
Okay.
Perfect Dark came out like a year or 2 after, and this was this entirely fictional, independent like project. It was original. It was completely original. And it was about like Blade. It was kind of like Blade Runner-esque in the future
My
and
favorite
stuff.
movie.
It was one of the more interesting like shooters, and this came out right after GoldenEye, and it literally built on every positive thing that GoldenEye did.
Oh wow.
Was that
And-
one 4-player split
Yeah,
screen too?
4-player, and they even had
That
some.
was probably the
I think-
coolest invention ever
Yeah.
out of the game. The 4-player split
That
screen.
was revolutionary.
That's the
'Cause they don't even
having
have that
your
in games
homies come
now,
over,
you
because
know?
that was the first like console that had 4 ports for 4 controllers included on it.
Was it really?
Yeah,
No,
to have it
PlayStation
included
1.
at the start. No, PlayStation 1 you'd have to buy an adapter with
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
you had to buy the
The adapter
Daisy
turned 1
chain
into 3.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Oh,
This
yeah,
one
that's right.
had 4 just right on the console.
And the
Epic.
Genesis?
Yeah.
No, the Dreamcast. Well, Dreamcast was 99 though, but yeah, N64
Yeah.
was. But here's the thing though. As
Oh.
much as you can talk,
Oh,
and say,
here's
the
that
N64 was incredible. This is the worst fucking controller.
He's holding up an
I
N64
think.
controller.
Yeah, sorry
With-
for everyone who's listening and not watching. It's an N64 controller, and this
It's
thing,
orange. It's see-through.
like so
It's a
modern.
lot.
Modern shooters now, they have the 2 sticks. So movement, like we've grown to get used to moving with one and looking with the other.
Right.
And that kind of started with GoldenEye, but the problem is instead of
They
having
did
to
it
use 2
backwards.
sticks, they did it in like the worst way. So they
Yeah.
now have the C buttons, which is like a D-pad. And so what if you want to do it like say like move around with the D-pad and use the stick to look? Well, now you can't do anything else because your right hand's on the stick.
It's
know.
perfect for
Don't
the
you shoot
90s,
with
though.
the Z button?
It's
Yeah, you
perfect
should-
for the
now
90s.
this is the best trigger I've ever seen in a controller though.
Word.
I will
The
say
Z.
that.
He's
though.
hitting
The Z button.
trigger.
Yeah. I gotta do more descriptive. So
This
I'm
is very
shooting the
90s though.
Z
The 90s, the N64 controller is the most 90s thing because in the 90s you got to remember we had 7 different ways to communicate. We had pagers, faxes, phones,
Wait,
we
was a
were-
pager
mail.
the same as a
Mail.
beeper?
mail.
Standard mail.
We had so many different
Fax.
ways, so many Palm
Telegram.
Pilots.
They had telegrams where someone would sing you
Palm
a letter.
Pilots. Yeah,
They need to come back. They need to come like
Ravens.
You know what? Uber Eats. I want to just Uber Eats like a message to my friend's house to tell him to go fuck himself. Hello, sir.
We had the
This is
most extra ways to communicate and to do anything. We had everything in the 90s. It just didn't all work together.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what the N64 controller does. It's just all of the things, but you can't use them all at the same time.
Yeah. Well, there is that where if you put your hands and you wide and you don't even use the stick.
Right.
But then that is the equivalent of a Super Nintendo controller, whether like one or two more buttons or something.
But you know what's crazy is that without that joystick, that is the first joystick introduced on a controller, like that kind of stick.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what, evolutionized
the PlayStation.
what we have now.
Yeah, the PlayStation controllers before that didn't have the DualShock.
No.
Or they didn't have the two
DualShock
sticks. They
came
were
out
just
later on.
very old school. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that stick though. Like,
I love the way
like,
the PS1 controller feels.
That was
though.
great though.
The-
It's
the-
very minimal.
You know,
Without-
if it's
without
not broke, don't fix it. And their PS4 controller is still kind of the same.
Like,
you
what
know?
if we put two analog boobs right in the middle, and you use those to move around? That's what it
Sometimes
feels
I don't
like.
even play. I just sit there and go.
when you compare the
Kids will love it.
the stick on an N64 controller, like there is
It's
this.
therapeutic.
Actually, you know what? This is not the same stick.
this
That
one,
this is a. So I have a N64 controller I bought on Amazon, which is a USB, and the stick, the actual like technology of the stick. This is like a more modern stick. But the old school one had more of a different type of pivot where there was like a certain powder in there. And I remember after playing like all day, I remember looking at it and going, and just like powder coming out of my controller because like I guess
No,
it's
it's
like
'cause you
really,
wore it
I
down.
wore it down. So
That's because you
Wow.
wore it down. That was the bad part about it because the stick on the controller is so thin.
that is
That-
a stick, man.
That is what would
You know.
break first
Yeah.
on all the
Yeah.
controllers. You ever see like you go over to your friend's house and they're like, oh, I have 4 controllers, but one of them has the limp stick, And
Yeah.
you're just like, who's gonna get stuck with the shitty limp stick controller on this N64?
It was always me.
Yeah,
They
they always give it to the
Or
more
they would be
talented
like,
person.
"Oh,
They're like, you need a
I got a
handicap."
controller. It's fine,
Yeah.
but it's a Mad Catz controller.
Ah, get that
So
out of
when
my
when
face.
GameCube came out, whenever we'd go get a new controller, you could buy a new one for $40 or buy a Mad Catz for 19. So me and my brother would always, at the time, we always went to the cheapest thing we could find. And there were some Mad Catz that were huge for GameCube. And if you remember, the GameCube controller was nuts. But then they had some Mad Catz which were smaller. They were like built for small, and they were like the tiniest controllers. Like that was the one instance where Mad Catz controller was good, but every other time it's been well, except for like on Super Nintendo. Have you ever had one with the turbo button?
No.
Like I would play like Street Fighter or
That
Final
freaks
Fight,
See, but I
the
didn't play
game
a lot
out.
of
and
Super
you do it, and
They
it goes
just punch and
it's like it's a laser, and you're like, yeah, this is good. This is fair. Yeah, I'll just play. This is a challenge for me,
No, I was never a big Nintendo guy. I did the PlayStation. Like I said, I never had a Nintendo console.
Were you so?
My brother had a GameCube, but I never played it.
Were you? Did you ever experience a little fanboyism? Like when I was a kid, I was definitely a Nintendo kid more than PlayStation.
Oh yeah, you
Where
were
was-
ride or die. You were
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah,
oh,
dude.
you have a Nintendo.
Yeah, you-
That means you have a big head.
Yeah, dude.
Big head.
Who does PlayStation have? Nintendo's got
What's that
Shinjiri Miyamoto. I was that kind of a
Yeah,
kid.
yeah,
You know.
You never
I-
did that. You never like.
Fanboyed?
Yeah, where you're just like,
over
oh,
a
you have
certain-
a PS4, and you kind of like you're snooty.
No, because I had PS and Xbox, so I did both. But I did, but I,
Rich
but I,
kid.
but I never, well, it's not true. I was snooty towards the Nintendo people. I thought they were basic.
Yeah.
So I
even had a Virtual Boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
You had a Virtual
Yeah.
Boy?
Yeah,
Wow.
Well, my brother had it, but I played it a couple times, and I kind of became a Nintendo fanboy because of my brother. He had Nintendo Power subscriptions and stuff. That was a cool magazine as a kid. You would like that's something I actually do miss is the magazine sort of monthly process of like now every time there's a news it's breaking every day we get it on Twitter. Then you kind of had to wait until you got a new Game Informer or a new Nintendo Power, and then I would read it from cover to cover and just I would look at even the back, like all the weird stuff in the back, the
Advertisements and stuff.
the advertisement stuff like that, like the hand controller. What was that called?
Power
the Power
Glove.
Glove. Jesus,
That's
my
old.
brother had that too. Yeah, we were.
I did used
Yeah.
to buy the walkthroughs for games.
Oh, okay.
That was like I buy those like big pamphlets. Of,
Like what was one? Like I didn't like to do it, but there were some games
God,
like
I
anything
can't
Final
remember.
Fantasy I had to do that.
Yeah, Final Fantasy was a big one. Any game that was way intricate that like could have had potential like before I got smart and kind of just realized to take my time with games and just like go in every little nook and cranny. I can't remember which ones I would buy them for, but I tell you what, I did say earlier, and I kind of regret it, saying that I thought Nintendo was basic, and I think it's because I was such a big first-person shooter after GoldenEye.
Yeah.
And they never followed up with another real first-person shooter.
Yeah.
That was it.
I will say
It was like the first-person shooter, and then they never did it again.
I will say even though Perfect Dark was a lot better, it definitely didn't have the impact and the big splash that
It wasn't
GoldenEye
like a culture thing. Yeah.
I think because GoldenEye also it was connected to James Bond, it was much more topical, and I think
For
James
sure.
Bond movies in the 90s
I don't know.
were
I think
much bigger deal.
after the N64,
Pierce
they
Brosnan
really
was, like,
lost
peak.
their.
Oh, yeah.
After the N64, they really lost their first-person shooter prowess, right?
Mhm.
Because they had
because Halo came in.
they had
not-
Turok, they had
You're right. Oh, you're right.
they had Perfect Dark, they
But
had Doom. Wasn't Doom on the N64 as well? Right?
the original Doom, yeah, I do remember
Doom
that.
2 at
Yeah,
least.
one of those, but it was
Yeah.
the old school Doom. But
Still-
I mean, the next big shooter that after GoldenEye that was kind of like the de facto shooter
Call of
was
Duty, right?
2003 was the next generation. We got GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, the
Oh,
original
yeah.
Xbox. And right when that hit, no,
Halo.
2001, not 2003. 2003, I believe, was Call of Duty, but
Medal
2001,
of Honor.
Medal of Honor. In 2001, Halo.
yeah, I
was
was
the
fighting for
big
the
one.
Resistance, Medal
Yeah,
of Honor Underground.
That's why I had both of
Like that.
those. I had Medal of Honor for one of them, and then I remember Halo came with my bundle that I got for Halo with Xbox when it first came out.
So
You got bundled?
wait,
Yeah,
so
with
you got an
Halo?
Xbox right when
Ooh,
it?
I think so.
Did you get an Xbox right when it came out?
I think
Because
so, yeah.
it was a
So
slow
you had
burner.
Forza, and then you had it was.
It like I had a friend who had it, but a lot
Could've
of
sworn
people
Halo was in
didn't
that bundle.
get it. But once Halo started to take off, that was the thing that pulled a lot of people into it.
To
Because
Xbox.
I
yeah.
remember my mom used to babysit a kid named Steven, who's a friend of mine, and at the time he had an Xbox, and when we would go over to his house, we would play it, and we would play like Coagulation and all. It was just 2-player, but with the sniper rifles and everything. I was like, I haven't played a multiplayer like this ever.
Right.
Before that, GoldenEye is cool, but GoldenEye is
Yeah.
still, when you compare GoldenEye running around, you
Yeah.
don't really, it's all auto aim and it's clunky and stuff. Halo was like, the
Halo
first,
was
like,
next
whoa.
level. You were throwing grenades, and they had like loft to them,
Mhm.
and like.
And-
I remember getting out of that first thing, and then the world opening, and there was aliens coming at you, and then just being like, "This is different. This
Yeah.
is different."
Yeah.
Like, that was the
And the
biggest.
music.
Games were never the same for me after that. I remember that being the music. The music was like really suspenseful, and things were flying everywhere. Like Call of Duty you could say that like something was similar to that.
Mhm.
Like when you're landing on the beach in Medal of
Yeah,
Honor,
that
that's
was
kind of
big.
similar. It's very similar. But I think the lasting power and the multiplayer for Halo that eventually kind of evolved, it's next level.
Yeah.
So
I would
Yeah,
agree.
I think that was I think after GoldenEye, that was the next big one that just moved from, oh, this is the new norm, right? Because like I think GoldenEye set a standard for first-person shooters, and then Halo set the new standard
Mhm.
for first-person
So I
shooters.
think for me,
right?
there's two ways that I play video games. One's very social, which is like Halo, like having LAN parties, like everybody like hooking up different Xboxes in different rooms.
Oh, that's
that
the
was the
best.
thing.
I've never
and
experienced that though.
I had a buddy that
That's
worked
awesome.
for his dad worked for Microsoft, and so he had a bunch of them. So we would
It's so
we
sad.
would all go hang out, and there'd be like four people in each room. That was pretty epic. We have a quivering lip alert. Are you weeping right now?
No, I'm
We
fine.
can still do
I'm
that.
okay.
We
I'm
have
okay
it.
right now.
We are old enough to.
No.
We can do this. We
Yeah.
can get together on
We
a
can
day
do
and
it,
have
yes.
a LAN party.
You have an
We just have to
Xbox.
find
I
Well,
fun.
we
saw it
have the
outside.
internet fast enough now. You don't even need a LAN party. So it's like,
It's true. This
Yeah,
is
do I
but
really
it's
need to leave the
different-
house
it's
now?
a different effect.
It is
But
a
like-
different thing when everybody's.
but then
in the
I'm like,
same
I don't have to
and
leave the
everyone's yelling
house.
across the room or across the
That's
house.
just because you don't know how good it is because
Everybody's
you haven't
jacked.
had it yet.
Everybody's jacked up on Code Red.
Code Red. Dude, do they still make that?
Yeah, they do.
I think it's
I
like
can't-
seasonal.
I
Is
see it
seasonal?
occasionally, but it's definitely.
It's like candy corn. It's always there. They just made it all at the same time.
So, did you guys ever play Halo 2 or Halo 3 or
Halo
Halo
3
4?
was epic. Halo
Yeah.
3 was another game changer.
Yeah.
Halo 2.
I think there's a lot more with Halo 1.
I
Over here.
yeah, we totally jumped from it.
Yeah,
But
I
like,
don't, these.
I was a Halo 2 guy. So I played Halo.
Oh, so
I bought the Xbox because of Halo after playing it with my friend Steven. And then when I was a guy that like went to GameStop at 11:30 on release day for Halo 2, and that was a big deal. Like you don't really like I don't remember release day that were like that.
Oh, look, for Halo 2,
know?
I worked for GameStop at the time for the Halo 2 launch.
You guys have such cooler lives, you know.
This is cool.
LAN
That's
party,
cool.
working for
Working at GameStop.
Jesus.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
so fucking
Telling people
cool.
about discounts.
Yeah,
and
they're like,
promotions,
do you
power
want to get
rewards
all
that
this
you never
stuff?
get.
You know, you want me to upsell you on all these
Power
things that I
rewards
don't
are
get
the
any
most
commission for?
Crap.
That's great.
thing, dude. Like, I have a million power points.
They
What
weren't
can I get?
they weren't power rewards when I was when I
you
worked
get nothing.
there.
They're worth nothing.
We just wanted to get you Game Informer
Game Informer, yeah, I remember that.
subscriptions.
Dude, that was a great magazine. It's still out and they're still pumping, but I'm just like not as into it as much.
You know
as
which
I
one's
used to.
not pumping? I don't think anymore, but I used to read a lot Game Pro.
Yeah, I don't know if they have the magazine, but the website's still no.
So here's the thing.
I don't
I'm
know.
going back to Halo 1.
Yeah, let's go back there because there's a lot we can pull up.
Because there's a lot of things about and this relates to the whole Halo franchise anyways. But a couple things that Halo did really right was the feel of the guns.
Yes.
The feel of the guns, the fluidity of the movement when you're because some people might have like a good what do you call it, like Y axis when you're looking right up and down on your controller,
Yeah.
but the
The
X
X.
might be too
Yeah.
sensitive. It's got a really good flow,
Yeah, you
For
can sit there and
looking
go like
around.
this, and you go.
just fluid,
Yeah.
all the way through. And I did like how they had different the options for different schematic layouts for controls, right? Because I played as Boxer. I don't know if you guys know Boxer, but it's essentially you just switch your left trigger instead of grenade, your melee's grenade, and that's a control setup where, so it's just faster to hit somebody because it's your left trigger, and your B's grenade.
That was one of my favorite things about Halo was throwing a plasma grenade and sticking it on a guy's
sticking-
face
Oh.
and him running around.
Yeah. Especially on your screen when it happens to you and you just see it
Oh, you-
coming. And now
They're stuck right there, and you're just like, ah! Then you try to run towards them.
that was my
Yeah.
first experience with throwing
awesome.
sticky grenades.
Yeah.
Isn't that insane? That's such a
Game-changing.
good mechanic. A grenade that's shiny and blue, and it's like a flare gun when you throw it, and it just sticks on your face. And they had that, so like they knew, like if it actually lands on your face, like I can't see anything because I have a grenade stuck on my face. And then Gears, because that even influenced later on things like Gears of War that had
For
the
sure.
one that they can run up and tag on you and stick on you.
Gears that was a different.
That's another thing. Ever since GoldenEye, every time there's a game that does something like really well, you'll start to see every subsequent game try
It's
to
like, we
do
gotta do
something
that.
like that.
Yeah.
But Halo definitely, I think, I don't know where that came from for them. Like that was a different, like, your enemies were different.
Oh yeah, and there was different. Yeah, there
It
was
felt
the little
consequential,
ones.
but there was also a levity to it because we had like things like grunts and stuff like that.
the
that
grunts.
were kind of silly.
Some that had overshield, some that didn't.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it felt serious enough that you felt the weight of the story, but also you could do multiplayer and realize it was not all of it's just fun.
I thought one of the best parts of Halo was the flood.
The flood
That
Yeah.
was one, like that's something
genuinely
that
scary when
it
that
kind
came
of
in.
disappeared. But the way that they were like
Was that 2 or
small,
3?
That was the first one. And then
The
se-
first?
No,
yeah,
that was
but it comes in like halfway through the game.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
so you
you're
guys are
right.
fighting, and then like the flood comes.
That
and you're
really-
like, "Holy
And then I think
shit."
it comes back
Opens
in the
up.
second or third one. I forget, but like that was one where it was like, oh, this is. It wasn't like zombies where you're just normal people. It was like little things, and then occasionally a big thing. And the fact that it felt more like an infestation of like rats or
Yeah.
Sometimes they move very
cockroaches. Oh,
slowly,
yeah.
so it
That-
felt kind of like a zombie.
and you shoot
every now
one
and
and one explodes.
then. It
without
was so
a
different
blaze.
from the Covenant. It was
That
so
was
different.
I
Yeah.
really and the mission where you first encounter them, you see everyone dead, and he takes a
That was
and
terrifying.
he clicks it. I was so into the game when
Yeah.
that happened.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Because it opened up a whole different. Yeah.
Also, another thing about Halo, which is incredible, campaign co-op. When I was
Yeah.
getting babysit,
Right.
we would play
That-
through the entire game from
That blew
start
it-
to the
blew it
end.
right
You
open.
just
Go
two
right.
people. It would do the cinematic, and then it would go to where it would show like the player's view, and then immediately pop to 2 views, and then it would just spawn 2 people. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
That's incredible.
how that's
Oh,
not complicated. Why can't
and-
every game do
No,
this?
and the way the respawn system worked in the game, right? Because you would be not only were you doing the campaign together, but it's like, okay, you guys are clearing out a room. Oh, okay, you're not in combat for 10 seconds, then your teammate comes back.
Yeah, or
right?
you have to get to the
It wasn't like
checkpoint.
It wasn't like because the problem was with games like for example, if we go back to Turtles of Time, like we were talking about, you could literally just keep pushing start and just keep jumping back in and never lose.
Yeah.
You know? But this game, so if you die, you have to clear the room, wait 10 seconds to be out of combat, and then your teammate will spawn again. Mm-hmm. So you have a chance that you guys just have to start over.
Yeah, and
you
some
know?
of those flood levels, you could very well not make. Like, it was very tough. You'd have to do like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
That Halo might be one of the first instances of an recharge on health, because GoldenEye, you had to go get health. Quake, Doom, go get health, health and armor.
Medal of Honor.
Do I need both?
Medal of Honor Underground, like I mentioned, had a health bar, and then after
Allied
after
Assault
that,
also had.
I think Frontline got rid of it afterwards.
And
Once it was on
I do
360.
remember that Call of Duty, I think 2003 was one of the first ones where it says get to cover, and then you come back.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh. And Halo was one of the first ones,
yeah.
And I love the way that they created it, was that it's your shield that has a recharge, and so it was actually written into the story. It's not just like in Call of Duty, I took 3 headshots, I got to get to cover, and then I get better. But like, at least in Halo, it's like
Made sense.
It's
Well, and some of your guys that weren't like Master Chiefs, they were just like regular soldiers. They'd go down a lot quicker than you.
Yeah.
You'd see them.
What I loved is that if you played, especially in that flood level, if you kind of took care of them, they survived.
They would survive.
The level. I thought that was
And
really,
certain
really
people,
cool.
you wanted to keep them like alive more than the others. Like some of them were like even better than others. It was pretty good.
Also, another thing that Halo introduced that blew any predecessor of this away: vehicles.
Yeah, the
Warthog,
dude.
The Warthog.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You get to stand in the back. How many people want to just be Rambo fucking in the back? Just
That's what I think really put Halo on the map.
And the controls of it.
The level of the demo wasn't the first level in the game. It was a level that once you land on the Halo. So it's like 2 or 3 levels in, maybe. I think.
Right.
And though once you land and you actually, you and a buddy once you when you're on the island, it's open world. You have an area to get to, but you can choose your path. And that was one of also the first instances of just choose your path. You can go left, you can go right, you can get in a Warthog, you can go up through the woods and stuff like that.
You ultimately ended up at the same place.
Yeah.
But
Me and a buddy, he would get drive, and I would get in the back, and just the driving was tight and cool. It's just playing together in a cooperative mode. Normally, I've been so used to
it was very social.
You play, or I like getting back to GoldenEye. I have one thing. When my brother and I were gonna play, did you guys ever play on Domino? GoldenEye is one of the few games where if you want to play co-op, what it does is it actually splits the controls between 2 controllers.
Wait,
so
what?
My brother would do the movement and I would do the shooting.
Wait, for which one?
For GoldenEye.
Oh.
So we would literally split. So if you wanted, if you had 2
what
controllers.
do they call that?
It was called Domino. They had like 2 or 3 controller modes that would split the movement or the X and Y
Tandem,
axis
I think
between
is
2
what it's
people.
called.
Yeah. And so if you had 2 controllers, you could have one in each hand and sit with your hands separated like this.
Whoa.
Or if my brother and I would play, we could play like that.
You've done that?
Literally like, when we were like running out of things to do, like we would play through some levels and we would play Domino, and if that's a whole nother, if you want to try that out, like that's something they specifically put in the game if people wanted to play co-op.
That's so funny.
That's like, I don't know if they had enough resources to put 2-player co-op, 2 separate players, but that's how we get it in the good old days.
Also, all right, I'm gonna ask you first.
Okay.
You get more time to think
Okay.
about this. Favorite gun from Halo?
Favorite gun.
We're talking. Should we do
Start
all the
with
Halos?
the least favorite.
Should we
gun,
do?
at least?
Should we do
Needler
all
was
the
my least favorite.
Needler? It just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel
But
good.
It doesn't,
Okay.
it doesn't feel
But
natural.
the one
It's not
time
natural.
you like dual
Yeah,
wield,
when you
you
could dual
smother
wield,
guy.
that's different.
Dude, if you get a whole clip of it into someone, he's dead. It's
Yeah.
just it blows up and.
But the
you're done.
problem is like if you
I think in
get
the first one
anything
it wasn't
less,
that effective.
The second one they did buff
They
it.
did that
Yeah.
and the pistol. They changed them both up because
Oh,
the pistol.
The
No, the
first
pistol in
one,
the first one was incredible.
well, it was a one
Was
shot.
it 2? Oh, was it 2? Okay.
Yeah,
maybe I'm
it was
missing-
an over. Like I remember playing Coagulation,
Little
and I would
overkill.
pull out the pistol pistol just because it was like the go-to.
Yeah, the Needler was mainly either that or I don't even know what the name of it. The little plasma handheld.
Oh yeah, plasma pistol.
That was the worst too.
Yeah.
But when you held it up and you let it go, it was, but it still wasn't a one shot. It would just take out someone's whole.
So this
shields.
is what you would do. Yeah. So the trick was you would charge it up. You would walk around, charge it up. You let it go, take off the shield, and then just smack them.
Smack
Oh,
them
and they die.
or
Yeah.
pistol. Yeah, either way.
Or just
yeah.
do a quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, here's another thing. One thing that Halo 1 didn't do that it was brought out in Halo 2. And I remember, like, as a kid, after playing Halo 1, when you see one rumor or two on IGN, I was a big IGN reader at that time.
Still am.
And, you know, and what would happen is they would show, like, the E3 preview. And, you know, you see SMG. You're like, oh, that's a cool new gun. And then suddenly, another one. You're like, dual wielding came out in the second.
In the
Halo.
second one,
That's
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
And you had each
that was a game
trigger.
changer.
Each trigger controlled it dynamically, so you could just and just keep reload, and then just that was
Yeah.
That
I used to do 2 pistols, and then
Yeah.
it would just like pop, pop, pop,
Yeah.
pop, pop, pop.
that.
But 3 was the best in the sense of the multiplayer play. And then they came out with the SWAT mode, which you had.
Oh, SWAT was great.
SWAT was so much fun.
But SWAT came out in 2. They had it in 2.
Did it?
Yeah, that's where it
Okay.
originated.
Well, for whatever reason, I think was it Bungie or 360 that did Halo 3, right?
Yeah.
It was 3, yeah.
There was just a better feel. It felt new.
Yeah.
It felt.
But did you like the little like extra things you could do, like when you can put the dome, the shield dome?
yeah,
stuff like
I
that?
thought it was
Oh
good.
yeah, those sort of like little.
Yeah,
even
I
that
don't remember much
leads
about it,
to
but yeah.
that has led to more like modern shooters. A lot of the hero shooters, everyone has
Overwatch
abilities.
is kind of like that. Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah. You
know?
have like a special move. Right?
Yeah.
When I think of like what makes a first-person shooter great, one thing that I go for is I tend to look at how the feel of the guns are.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I wanted to know like which gun you like the most or which one you hated, because I think for me, I'm always into I've always been a sharpshooter. You know, I've always been into sniper rifles.
Yeah.
And the fact that in this game you could 2 times zoom in, or you could zoom in with the pistol,
Yeah.
and if you actually hit him in the head, it made a difference.
What?
Yeah, the pistol was so strong. I loved it.
I loved. I have
And
this.
also when you hit people with it.
The sniper rifle,
Oh,
when you
yeah.
shoot someone, there's the trail of the bullet.
Yes!
And then as you're
Oh
moving, you can see
my
the line. You're
God.
like, that was
Dude,
like
yeah,
so
when
cool.
you could see it in multiplayer, that's when you knew where somebody was. Then you had to be. Oh, it was so great.
That was
so great.
Thank you. So
My
we-
favorite was battle rifle. Because
Okay.
I'm a
Halo 2.
I'm not necessarily a sharpshooter in the sense that I mean
But that one could zoom in too, which
it
was
could,
awesome.
but it was versatile enough that you could shoot somebody close, but also you can get them pretty far away too. And I liked the burst.
the 3-round burst, yeah.
Yeah,
That was
fun.
and it was
That
powerful
satisfying.
and it was a good one.
And you knew if you hit him in the head, like three times would take off the shield, and then the 4th one would just kill him.
So that one and the pistol were probably my favorites. Wasn't a big fan of all the Covenant guns. They had their purpose for sure, but
Yeah, plasma rifle didn't feel that good either.
nah, didn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it would take off overshield really
Yeah.
fast, but
I'd be interested to talk to somebody who was more plasma oriented. Like, were you?
Yeah.
Were you
No,
ready?
I wasn't really a big plasma guy. I mean, I liked the dual wielding. The dual wielding was just the most satisfying thing.
Yeah.
I mean, but you couldn't dual wield like the battle rifle. That would have been sick.
that would be
But
ridiculous.
that
That's
would
that
be
GoldenEye
boring.
life.
Yeah,
yeah.
GoldenEye, you could
Duke
dual
'em or
wield
something.
rocket launchers and shit.
Yeah.
And there was even a glitch where you could have a Moonraker laser and then dual wield your laser, so it looks like you have 3 hands. Well, as you shoot, you have your 2 hands, and then you have another gun. You're like, how the fuck does that work?
Glitch master over here.
Yeah.
But no, I thought the sniper rifle was probably the first big sniper rifle that was so satisfying.
Yeah.
It was like a
When you
it felt
see
like
the
a
little
50
when you
cal
see it
Barrett.
light up red on the head and you
Yeah.
take it and you just see him
Yeah.
just drop instantly, one shot.
Yeah.
It's,
There's nothing.
That
yeah.
felt like the
and then
hand
you
of
could burst
God,
it if you wanted
know?
it too. It was like
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
I hated like every time there was a good sniper rifle in Medal of Honor Allied Assault, which was the game beforehand. The best sniper rifle was,
Yeah.
and then that's when you had another shot ready, and I'm like,
Right.
God damn, I want to like,
Especially if it takes you out of being zoomed in. Oh, that's
but
the
you
worst.
know what thing that did kind of make like I wasn't expecting was like the sniper rifle. You have that little like computer with the wavelength. It almost made me think it was like, is this the eraser gun that Arnold Schwarzenegger had, where you can like shoot through walls and shit or see heat? And it's not that. It's just a regular sniper. But it made me like, right when I saw it, I was like,
cooler.
It kind of thought it was going to be something more than just, oh, it's 4X. That's cool.
There's the thing with Halo is there's a believability to it, there's a weight to it, there's a levity to it, and then there's also just a fantasy aspect to it. And like and so it really touched on all these points, and it was really great at being right in the middle of all those points. Of where it's like you'd feel in 1 second like you'd be scared with the Flood. The Covenant had some levity to it. The certain guns like the plasma guns, stuff like that, you didn't necessarily want them, but they served a purpose because of that, and they were better against certain things. And I think it was just a perfectly balanced game. It really made sense. And in the Master Chief, you really felt like you had some sort of, you were carrying something different than everybody else. You felt there was a reason for you to be a chosen person.
It was like a real hero story.
Yeah, you had a different suit. You were like, you spoke differently. You were commanding, and not every game's like that.
And you couldn't see your face. I think that was cool too.
That's also
you're just
very
in
Daft
armor.
Punk kind of novelty.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Sure.
I like that aspect because it hinted that you were going to see his face, but I'm like, no, it's good that you don't see the face
because it's you.
That's
under there. It's
exactly.
you.
And that's what you were missing with that other game you were talking about, right?
Yeah, because you could see the person. They didn't really have a whole lot of whether it's Redemption 2, no matter what it is, the person set up for you. And but with Halo, it has a Daft Punk effect to where it's just like, no, that person's you, and it felt right. It felt epic.
And you know what else we did not talk about yet? The feel of the jump.
You jumped
Yeah.
like
That-
6
you
feet in the
jumped.
air.
Everything
though.
was
And
a
you
little extra.
And you slowly just fall.
Yeah.
Dude, you had like a Space Jam kind
Yeah,
of
and
jump
you had
That's
up
a
there.
good point.
Yeah.
That's a
You
really
had like
good point.
no and fall damage. Like in some spots you wouldn't get fall damage, but
Right.
then some you would.
Yeah.
But that was
But
awesome.
that's part of the push and pull. Like the
Yeah.
everything was a little like 30% extra. Like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like not even 30%. That's probably the wrong percentage. But it was extra.
But the little things was
It was
cool.
extra.
Like one of the little things in Halo that I thought was just really cool was that in almost every shooter beforehand, when you look down and you turn around, you're kind of like a ghost. You don't see any legs. Halo was the first game where I looked down and you crouch and you can see your knees.
Right.
You
Especially
move
when
as
you played as a
turn.
Covenant, when you played
your
as an
knees
elite.
turn as you're turning, and I was like, wow, that's really really good. I was just like when we were kids and
You could throw a sticky
And I
grenade
would-
on your own legs.
really.
Yeah.
I want to do that. I can't wait to do that after this podcast. Man. But like,
You could. That's
they-
right.
It's just
but also the death. Whenever there was an explosion and a guy was like his body was launched, it was never ragdoll. It was always his arms like doing that as he
Yeah.
hits the ground.
Yeah.
That was always so good.
Like when you fall
Yeah.
off the map.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing I want to get into with Halo is
His worst gun, needle, or best gun battle
yeah.
rifle. What was yours?
well, I love the sniper rifle the most.
Yeah.
Covenant carbine was pretty shit,
Oh
too.
no, that wasn't that
You
bad.
liked it?
Oh,
Out of all
out
out of all the plasma or whatever weapons, I think that one was like one of the
When
best.
they introduced the brutes, you had the grenade.
That was-
Oh yeah, that would mess
That was
people
legit.
up.
That was
But
legit.
then like also, if you had so in Halo 2, if you dueled the plasma pistol with the SMG, take off their shield, dead.
Yeah.
Like that was like the combo, you know.
Right, that was.
Like you
I
could
feel
do
like
that.
they specifically made the damages a certain way to where it would be good for to they wanted players to experiment with different guns
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the brute grenade launcher, one of the things in Halo 2 that I loved was that most games, like if you shoot a rocket or a grenade launcher up in the air, rarely ever comes back down. Sometimes it might just hit the skybox and never come back down. But in Halo 2
Did it?
specifically, empty a clip, and 20 seconds later, all on the ground in front.
Oh, on the grenade
So,
launcher?
I was really big into filming machinimas, I think they call it at the time, where you just film video with because I got so bored with Halo 2. Like now, you're done with the game and you can move on. There's always another game. There's almost a limitless amount of games to play. But at the time, it's like I got Halo 2. I don't have another game, so I gotta somehow entertain myself with it. And so that's how the whole grenade launching thing started.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first games where packs on the ground, like grenades on the ground, if you shoot them, they explode as if they were a grenade in real life. Most games, they didn't have that sort of damage. So if you had like a guy that had grenades and like he died and he dropped his grenades and you put the warthog next to it and then you threw a grenade down, it would go boom, 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 and then you launch the warthog like quarter mile up in the air. Yeah, and we would do all sorts of weird, funny things about that. And I would make little videos. I don't know if I still have
And
them.
that's something that we didn't even talk about with the vehicles. But the fact that they would flip over and you'd have to flip them
over and
well,
stuff
and
like
Halo
that.
was
That
such a big.
Yeah.
And there may be some younger people listening before like they knew before they were born like after Halo was a thing. Halo was a big cultural thing.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
It was big.
Like it was like Red versus Blue was a thing too.
Yeah.
It was like one of the first internet like little
Rooster
little web
Teeth
serial
was that was the reason why I got into it, because Rooster Teeth started in Halo 1. And the way that they filmed it is they literally would play the skull game, because when you would grab the skull, it would hide the
your
gun.
hands. Yeah.
But it would
That's
still
right.
show up other things on it. So you
That's
could
right.
crop 16 by 9 if you literally put it right under the HUD.
So
You could,
fun.
and we would film and we would do some pretty cool stuff with that. There's all these different things, and one of the things we did was we like scheduled this huge like in our story that we were gonna have like this artillery downpour. So we had like 4 or 5 people on one side of the map, and this was the map with the big bridge in the futuristic city. And we were like, okay, right. And it was so much fun because on Xbox Live, as like a 12-year-old, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, everyone line up. Okay, ready? Hold your guns out. Everyone put their grenade launchers in the air, and I was like, action! And then everyone shot it, and then like you had like a group of people
You would do
running over a
this?
hill.
Oh, this
You-
is next.
Yeah.
level.
you would have a group of people coming over a hill, and as they were running, you would just like artillery. And like if some of them died, like we just try to say, hey, I hope everyone if someone survives this, it'll look cool to put in like a music video or something like that. And like it was really cool because you could really experiment in ways that other shooters, they didn't really have those things.
Yeah.
That's really
Yeah.
cool.
Wait, it's cool how people create these ways to do these
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like,
When you get bored enough, you were like,
well, I was on
that's
a
glitch,
football
you know?
team, and like we couldn't go out and party and all that stuff because we'd have football practice, and we'd have to go to some game or whatever.
what kind of football is this?
Texas high school
Is it
football, baby.
sprint football?
It's,
Oh.
this is
I thought
this
football
is
like
real.
partying and
5A,
getting
5A,
cheerleaders
we-
pregnant. That was
No,
like the
that is
thing.
Not, no,
wait,
dude.
what? Where in Texas were you from again?
Southlake.
Oh,
Yeah, it was- so
South
we-
Lake Carroll.
Yeah, so we were
Okay,
either
I
at
know who
football
that
practice
is.
or we were playing Halo.
No, they won like the state championship like
Oh,
5
shit,
times.
okay.
or 100 times or
we
whatever.
were either at football practice or we were at someone's house playing Halo.
Yeah.
We would just, and that was how it's just interesting how everybody experienced Halo. There's so many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
And it's so social and
Mhm.
it was such a cultural thing that I don't know if we have besides Grand Theft Auto was probably the other thing that everybody else played.
Yeah.
Um,
But it wasn't
I
as
don't know if people
multiplayer
still
as
do
was.
that today. Well, that's not true.
Well-
That's not true. You have Fortnite, obviously. That was probably the
Well,
closest thing.
The community that you see in Fortnite now is not the same
all-
community
yeah,
and
it's
how it
people.
exists.
Because it was all in person
And-
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Like
That's
I
right.
mean, I made friends
Halo
in the
1 at least.
matchmaking. There were a couple guys that
Yeah.
I like, dude. There were guys that I
They
met in
were really good.
Alabama and
Yeah.
stuff that I played with on Halo 2. That I would go and I was homeschooled at the time, so I played all the time.
Yeah.
And I would become friends with them, and those were like most of my friends were all my Halo 2
Yeah,
friends.
social.
And it's
It's
like
a very social thing.
the like zombie so what I loved about the Halo 2 was that we had all these lists of these certain games, but after a while, when we really got bored after a couple months, this is before the map pack, there was this
come back to
huge trend called zombies that people would play.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so
yeah,
what
yeah,
would
yeah.
everyone would
Yeah.
play? Everyone would get on one team, and there would be one person who would start as the zombie, and he would have a sword. Everyone else, I believe, would have a pistol or it would be
That's right.
regular.
Yeah.
And whenever the
was a
person with the
shotgun, wasn't it?
sword
shotguns.
was
Yeah.
it shotgun?
It was
shotguns.
shotguns.
Because
Pistol
I would
shotguns.
play with where people would play with either just pistols or other things. I think
Uh-huh.
pistols was one because some maps, if you have a good enough gun, you can camp and you can never be taken out. So I think
Okay.
we went to pistols to give it a challenge.
So you would make your own, because you could make your own custom, like you can customize. So in
The
Halo,
color and
you
everything
could
like that.
customize the deathmatch. Like you could take the parameters and be like, oh, it's first to 5
Mhm.
kills, first to 10. You could make it free for all. You could do all that stuff. You could change it up
Yeah.
too. And so you're saying
Well,
you guys would change
we wouldn't
the
we wouldn't be able
mechanics
to
of these
change
things
much.
to do zombie.
We would pick
right?
the pistols and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
we couldn't. But we still had to kind of follow the honor system, where everyone joined one match. So it was like 1 versus 15 people, and then whenever the person with the sword, the one person would kill somebody with a sword, that person then had to change the team to the other team. And so there was 1 and then 2, and then as those 2 people, every time someone gets killed with a sword,
Yeah.
they just change teams, and it was all based on the honor
And
system.
that
So when I
turned
got killed, I'm like,
into-
shit, I would change to the other team, and we would do that. I forget how long, but for days and days on.
Yeah.
Now for at least a couple
And
months.
they
that
actually
was the
got so
regular-
popular that
Yeah.
they made it in Halo 2 or Halo 3. It's a mode called Infected.
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that
they
was
changed it.
simply like people would be playing either matchmaking or something like that, or we would have a private party, and I'm like, "You guys want to play zombies?" We're like, "Hell yeah!" And we'd go back to the lobby, and we would change it to this custom match, and we.
Yeah.
So it was weird because we were essentially creating the rules just ourselves without like. I don't know, if you play with an asshole, they could not change the team and just stay on that team. But everyone.
But that's the great thing about
everyone-
LAN is you could just
yeah.
kick his ass.
This was never on. Yeah, well, I was never on LAN, and everyone that I played with was still like. They still was like the honor system, and I loved that. I still haven't experienced that sort of camaraderie.
So Rusty and I weren't
while.
homeschooled.
No.
So we would have LAN parties. You would have LAN parties.
Yeah.
So you knew
You guys had
people.
friends.
Friends.
We got the lip quiver again. Second time.
I love that
Soon
lip
we're gonna have
quiver,
the
man. I do
suicide
that.
gun.
I do that at a Golden Corral, and they always like give me like. I'm like.
They give you
"The steak
extra
was
Jell-O.
burned."
It's okay, sir.
Here's a little bit more macaroni and cheese.
take care of it, sir.
All right. Golden Corral is a
Yeah,
Golden
just got
Corral.
that $10 meal
Dude.
free.
Golden Corral is just a syndicated Lubies. That's what that is. You ever have Lubies back in Texas?
No,
What?
Lubies?
What?
Where?
You have Lubies? It's not a
Lubies.
thing anymore.
No,
but
no.
like, all right. Anyways,
But
forget it,
no.
I'll tell you what. I've never had Lubies.
dude.
'Cause I'm from San
Grandmas
Diego.
everywhere that are now dead, but I've had Lubies. Forget it. Forget it. Forget I said anything.
I'm in a lip quiver because
Jell-O.
I can't. I don't know.
Jell-O is like a sad Golden Corral.
Or what about old Country Buffet? That was an old other.
Who are you?
I don't know, man. Any buffet where you can get mac and
Dude,
cheese.
Cracker Barrel is
and
all that
then
matters.
any-
That's all.
Any buffet where they're like, "Here's the ice cream machine. You
Dude.
can serve yourself." It's
I-
like
People talk
I'm
about
there.
California being the best place. We don't have Cracker Barrel, so it's not. It's not.
Is
It's
that
not.
that's
we don't
your
have
that's
Whataburger
your
or
Yeah,
Cracker Barrel.
yeah.
Those are the two things.
we
that
have
you gotta
Sonic
have.
though.
Who doesn't have
Occasionally.
Sonic? Who
No,
doesn't?
no,
I
they
think a lot
never
of
used
people
to have
don't. I
Sonic
don't know.
over in the north and stuff.
I gotta say the ice is the
in
best
the
part of
north.
Yeah.
It sounds
that. In the north.
in the north.
That
They
my
do not
parents were
have.
like, "Well, we we were living in Yankeeville." That's what my mom. We living in Yankeeville. That's how my
What is
parents,
that?
like the North, Pennsylvania, above the
Oh,
Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sad up there.
Mm.
All right. Yeah.
Mason jars for life.
Yeah. There we go.
Okay.
All right, continue.
Wow. Where were we?
We were talking about favorite weapons.
Oh yeah, you know what I want to get into? Okay, so another thing, because I was big on multiplayer. I would play multiplayer all the time. I didn't have Xbox Live, but when I would go over to friends' houses, I would just play with them. And that was another thing. You could do split screen online together. You
play
would
as
have a
as
guest.
guest, yeah.
Yeah, and that's incredible too. That's a big adaptation
Yeah.
to the game, because it's not only like, oh, I have a friend over. Like, you guys want to go? Let's go fuck some people
Yeah.
up. You know.
But then when you get your
Like-
ass kicked, you're like, "Hey, it's okay. I'm only using half my screen. I got a guest with me."
It is better
You
with
know.
the full screen, but
Yeah.
but you would still tear it up. You'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy and his guests are just ruining
Yeah,
everything.
when you were with the other person, you could talk secretly.
Yeah. And you could also, if you needed to, log into your Xbox Live account onto the.
whenever
His
whenever
Xbox.
people had
that
the
was, yeah.
whenever people had the headsets and they're like trying to talk to their buddy and they're like, "No, go around here." No,
That was
don't
the best
fucking
thing about
kill him."
LAN parties, though.
You know?
Because you could have 4 people split on a giant screen.
Yeah.
And each person had their own section of the screen. You could talk to the other team that like.
You could shit talk.
You could shit talk.
You could
so
shit talk
bad.
to the other two.
Open
Like
up the door. And
you just
Wait,
headshot
would
somebody
you
like,
just do
bitch, you like
4
that?
versus 4?
Or just
One,
so
two
we'd have, like,
Xbox
Yeah,
4
Live?
people
one
in here,
TV.
like, there's another room.
Because like doing
Yeah.
a split screen against people where you can like look at someone else's screen.
Oh, you screen
I've
lickers?
seen people like take big
But you're
pieces
all
of
on the
paper
same
and tape
team.
against the screen and try to like
How
demarcate the screen.
how childlike is that? Like that's my
That was the
instinct.
cool
to
thing about LAN parties because the main multiplayer is better because the people that were playing together were on the same team.
Yeah, so it's
So-
4v4
That makes
or
sense, yeah.
3v3, whatever you want to do. Just this TV is
Massive
these
shit
people, those TV, those red versus blue.
Did you guys ever glitch in Halo?
Oh,
Did you guys ever,
yeah.
So did you guys ever get the Scarab gun?
I don't know.
So in Halo 2, there's an Easter egg where when you're playing the mission where you go to Zanzibar,
Okay.
there's a way where if you get a Banshee through the tunnel
Daddy over
and
here.
you have to break, I've never done this, but I've seen videos on how to do it. You break off both of the wings of the Banshee so you can get through the tunnel. And if you're flying in the Banshee and you hit the checkpoint point where it loads, it won't despawn the thing. If you have it sitting
So
there and you
you'd
walk
have
through,
to-
it'll disappear the Banshee.
You'd have to break off both of the wings.
The wings, but you can still fly
Purposely.
with a Banshee. Yeah, you have to like punch it until it breaks off.
Right.
And then as you fly through this, if you get
It's
up
a
to
little
the
wonky.
top of the building, there's a plasma rifle.
I do remember seeing this.
But
I
this
never thought
plasma
about it.
rifle, literally, when it shoots the gigantic laser that the giant scarab, the Wild Wild West spider that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have
yeah.
literally a gun, you just
Shout out to Shout
just
out.
fucking crazy. And I'm like, I've never been able to do it, but I saw videos and I'm like, I love it when developers are like, let's just do this weird shit up
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's
and
like
just-
Elon Musk with his cars for sure.
Yeah, if you like, he has all that kind of weird shit with the Model 3s and like if you press a button too many times it farts or something like that. Like,
I
and then
like
he's like,
that.
well, they have a new arcade. So Teslas now have their own like game service and I'm like, is that a good idea? Like I think they have a game now.
Yeah, is that what we want?
Like no, there's a game now where you can actually use the steering wheel of the car to steer the car in a video game. And I'm like, okay, when is someone going to drop a 0-day exploit to it's like you're playing a game and then suddenly it actually does turn on the car and send controls to the engine to where you're playing and then suddenly you just fucking take off.
Who
and
is
just-
living a better life than that man?
That's tight.
He's launching satellites into space.
Okay, I have a theory
cars
about
that can
this.
fart.
I have a theory about
Fart
this.
cars.
No, so they're building a hyperloop tunnel in Hawthorne right now, and they got a permit that there is an undisclosed residential location where the garage is like an elevator into the 30 feet down into this tunnel that they are putting the hyperloop things in, and I'm
Right.
like, they're not going to release anything.
That's
he,
a bat
He just
cave.
got a permit to make a fucking bat cave.
Yeah, it's a fat kid.
That's bullshit. Like this guy, we're gonna sell this to people. No, like you literally just have an address where it's like I have an elevator in my garage to go down and know
In
where.
Hawthorne?
Yeah.
Why would you have a bat cave in Hawthorne? All the crimes happen in some.
Well, that's why
No.
you wanna.
That's
You need to go get.
But SpaceX is over there. That's why.
Well, when you
SpaceX
drive
is
down
there.
that one lane, there's that
You're
big
right,
tube. The
you're
hyperloop's
right.
all there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh man.
All
Okay.
Geography.
Are we haloed out? There's a couple. Oh, we were going into glitches.
yeah, glitches.
Yeah.
You guys ever like us? What was the big glitch that you did? No, you did one.
You
I
know
did.
the glitch that
Yeah,
I did.
the one where you fist that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that one. You did it
It's
all
called
the time.
sword glitching. You literally have you sword glitched before?
Yeah.
Yeah. You would just essentially what you would do is the sword in Halo 2 would automatically had a lunge to it. When you would see someone, if the reticle went red, you could lunge.
It's like
and
farther
it-
than the shotgun.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
like
just
it's
go.
like 10 feet.
But if you're coming at the guy with the shotgun, he could blast you before you hit him.
yeah.
I mean, you have to be
He
really
could.
good. You have to be good.
He had to be good.
Yo, but how many times would you have someone with a sword and you see him and you miss,
you'd have to
and
be-
you
you'd
just
have to
you
be
just do that
mid-lunge.
motion and you look
Yeah.
like such
and
a
you're
loser
stuck like that. Yeah. You're like a bowler that just
5
did a
seconds.
strike. Just fucking.
You'd have to be mid-lunge though if they were gonna get you,
Yeah.
and you'd have to. And if they had any sort of overshield on, then they're gonna.
No,
be
even
okay.
with the shield, it was a one-shot.
But
for the
overshield.
shotgun,
No, with a sword. The sword was a
the
boom.
shot. The
If the
sword
shotgun
was,
is a headshot, you
Yeah,
can kill them
it's
instantly.
a one-shotter, I thought. But no, the thing about the sword glitch was awesome, was that it started. The sword glitch started with the rocket launcher? That was what it was.
Because it's easiest with the rocket launcher. Because the red reticle is so
huge.
easy
where
to
every
see.
other
Yeah.
gun has a smaller crosshair.
Smaller one, yeah.
So with that, if you were like on Blood Gulch, when you were across the map, you could see a guy. And if you held the rocket launcher, the reticle would turn red. And once it turns red, if you press Y and then R quick enough, it would send the command to actually attack with the sword, which would lunge at the person. But because you were still using the rocket launcher, you would change the sword and then it would do the lunge, but you were still locked on. It would then launch you like a mile across the map.
It looks so
Boom!
ridiculous.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And they patched it after like a month or so, but
Yeah.
until that point,
You could
Dude.
do it with the battle rifle. You could
Dude.
do it with like all the guns. You
like,
could.
have you ever done a bunch of like stupid shit in a Walmart? Like that's what we felt like we were doing. We're like, we're not playing the game like they want us to play.
Yeah.
But we're just having fun anyway.
Well, yeah, it was hard to pull it off, or like practically, like in
Yeah.
the real match. Just
yeah,
like,
you
oh!
couldn't really, but you could be, when you were just fucking around with your friends, like, hey, dude, hold on, stand there for a second, and just kill the guy from across the map or something. Because it did look, because you were kind of frozen, flying across the map with this like sword. But
Yeah. What about you? So you would do it?
Glitches, not often.
No.
No, I get better things to do.
Yeah, that was one of those things. That's one of those really nerdy things that I don't do. Like,
well, the reason I got into it is because like, look, I had nothing else to get into. Like, I could play like another crappy Xbox game, or I could just like, when I would see things like, oh, if you could get outside of the Blood Gulch level if you took a Banshee and you like aimed it just right, and you could get out and you could hop out and get out. That was just so
I
cool.
did that. That was just
Like,
fun.
it was
That
cool.
was easy though. I wouldn't do the
Yeah.
ones that you had to pair off the wings.
Yeah,
the
I could
Banshee,
I could do that. I've never known how to do that. But I saw a video.
Yeah, but like it's like I think people that really enjoy Minecraft and like make their own maps and shit like that
Yeah.
are the people that do really good glitches. And I just am not that person.
Yeah.
And I respect those people and I love those people, but I'm not that person.
they're just like, I just want to take this apart.
Exactly. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Is I
Yeah.
want to deconstruct and like be on. Yeah, it is this weird. It is a weird thing. It is a thing.
I just bought a car. Just took the wheels off.
Yeah,
It's
took
so
the wheels
cool.
off. It works way better. It's way better at what it does.
It's like they didn't mean
And
for
you're-
me
and
to
you're sitting
use
there
it like
Is
this.
that right? Yeah, exactly. Is he right? It's like, it's an
My
aqua
gas
car.
mileage
Yeah.
is so
Yeah.
much better
I
now.
only use it in the
Don't even have to buy gas
That's not
anymore.
What it's for. But I get it. But I respect the person that's driving their Tesla in the sea. I get it.
Yeah, it was saving the environment. I don't know, man. I see so many people on the freeway. Like, is Tesla overtaking BMW as like the shittiest
should.
people drivers? Like most of the time,
Well,
BMW.
I don't know. BMW's still got a
But
very
yeah,
good.
Tesla's
he had a
been
long rep.
bad,
No,
man.
dude. Tesla's fine, but BMW has got a very good stronghold of being the shittiest drivers for sure.
I don't know, man. I think Tesla's kind of taking that crown away.
I don't believe that.
Give
I
it
don't believe
maybe
that.
another year or so. It's getting pretty bad.
I'm gonna give it 10.
10?
But
10.
dude,
Okay, 10
BMW's been
sounds
doing
good.
it for decades.
Yeah,
They're terrible.
they've had
10
the crown. They've been like
10
Hulk
sounds pretty
Hogan,
good.
and now Tesla's like Seth Rich, or no, that's not the guy.
BMW's the
That's the guy
easiest
that
indicator
Flynn's
to
killed.
identify somebody that I don't want to hang out with.
I like it. I like it.
Quote me
Oh,
on that.
man.
I don't care.
So, guys,
I've yet to be proven wrong. I don't hang out with a single person that has a BMW. Danny, don't get a BMW.
Like I've always
I
wanted
got a Honda.
BMW, but like everyone I've ever
chill.
yeah,
Too touchy.
I agree,
Too touchy.
100%.
All right.
Anyway, what?
I don't know. I think about games like Halo, and I feel like it's like it's revolutionized the way that all first-person shooters are. I think if I think about like games that really like, what's another game that really like sucked you in for like over 40 hours of gameplay, like
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto? Which one?
Grand
Oh,
Theft
the most
Auto.
recent one, San
Oh,
Andreas. They've
yeah.
been going on it for what, 6 years now?
Yeah. No way. When was San
Probably
Andreas
longer
came
than
out?
that.
San Andreas was
That was PlayStation
Long
2,
time ago.
man. That was a
Yeah.
long time ago.
that was
Not San
the
Andreas. I'm sorry.
Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft
Which one?
Auto.
What's the newest one?
a 5?
Yeah, what is it?
Just 5?
Is it not San Andreas?
No,
No,
it's
it's
just
just
5. Just
Oh,
Grand Theft Auto 5.
let's go.
But I mean, they still have San Andreas you can play. No, but it's the cool. Okay, the cool thing about
You
San
sound like
Andreas,
an old. You sound like an old man. Hey, they're all San Andreas.
It's still San Andreas, isn't it?
you guys still play Pong? Like, right? Pong, that's popular, right?
guys-
I mean, people play
You
tennis
guys
all the
yo-yo,
time.
right? You yo-yo, right?
You guys play jacks? That's taking over the world. Last time I
was-
played jacks, bro.
That was the
Dude, Jax was
Forrest
the shit.
Gump in
No,
Pong.
every time I got
You
a
had
pair of
jacks?
jacks. No, I had jacks, but I'm like, I don't know the fuck do I play. And you bounce it on the ground. You're like, ah, I don't know.
Ah.
Like,
It seems really
I don't
easy.
remember
I don't
playing, but
understand.
I don't know,
feel
like-
you pick it up pretty quick.
Like
Yeah.
there's no blood. Like that's
There's
boring
no
to
blood?
me. Yeah,
What?
like Halo. It's
You
like,
have
yo,
to say
give
it
me a
Russian for
fucking.
whatever reason. There's no blood. I don't.
I
know.
I don't know. So okay, so you went through your consoles. You've been kind of an Xbox guy. You had
Yeah.
you had a PlayStation. You had
Yeah.
you didn't have an
PlayStation 3 was the last
N64.
PlayStation I had.
Was there any other
Didn't get
consoles that you played? Any
Played
not as
Dreamcast,
popular
but
ones?
Why? And then also GameCube.
GameCube.
Eh.
GameCube had
then my
like.
buddy-
How
Yeah.
would you just mention? I
And
thought
then we
was
had a
solid on
Wii
that.
too.
Ooh, yeah.
Eh.
I never got into the Wii's.
All of it.
Resident Evil 4 was really cool on the Wii.
That was a game
On
that
the
I
Wii?
loved.
Yeah,
no,
on
on
the
GameCube.
first Wii.
No, it was on
worked half the
GameCube.
time.
No, it was on GameCube.
No, but it was on the Wii as well.
No,
Because
it
you
was
could
on the
point with your.
That's pretty cool.
It was cool. It was cool.
Fine.
I
It's
liked it.
fine. One day it will be to a point that it needs to be at that will satisfy me. We're not there.
Wait, which the Wii? Or are we
yeah,
talking
just
about
interactive
consoles?
play? Yeah, I mean.
Oh,
we're talking about,
you mean like
it's
VR?
VR Lite. I mean, that's basically what the Wii was.
Yeah.
It was the intro, yeah.
They've
intro
okay,
class.
so like I never really got
101.
into the Wii because I was just like, this is kind of lame.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
like
lame.
there was a level where they had a gun. I'm like, that's cool, but it's like you need if you want that feedback like a VR.
Exactly.
Give me a VR. I don't like.
But you know
to
what's
do it now.
funny? The probably one of the funniest games out of the whole thing, the one everybody wanted.
Tennis.
No, well, yeah, it was the actual Wii Sports that it came with.
Yeah.
That you don't know how many times people would come in and ask to try and find that game to GameStop.
came with
like, it
Well,
came
when they
with it,
found out, they're
yeah.
like, I hear this game can help me lose weight. You're like, oh.
Are you talking about Wii Fit?
Oh, I thought their Wii Fit was. with
No.
Wii Sports.
There's
Okay.
Wii Sports. Wii Fit's
Okay.
a different
I
thing. They had
conflated
like a
them.
balance board. It was like a yoga machine.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I skipped that whole. I don't know. I just felt weird. Like my brother had it, and he was a big fan of it, and he got into it. I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like at the same time, okay. So VR is specifically, you want to have to do your stuff, but there are so many times where I sit down on a couch and I'm like, I just want to lay here and just play a game and not have to do this.
VR's
I
intense.
lost. I gotta get my jerk off motion better to win this game. You know, it's like my girlfriend's
That's
like,
Mario
What are
Party.
you doing? It's like I gotta get better at this game, baby. Can't win this game. You know, like I don't know what.
Damn,
the fuck, you know?
that made me tired watching you.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
I'm about
Yeah.
to.
I wanted
but,
a
Yeah.
divorce.
He was going.
but because of that, it's like so that's as much as I love VR, and VR is really really cool. VR isn't the same as where we was just trying to simulate motions.
Yeah.
VR is much more.
It's
It's like,
draining, dude. I did
Yeah.
8 minutes of VR in a
Yeah.
VR cafe, whatever they call them downtown. And
What was the VR? What was the unit?
couldn't tell you.
Oh,
We
okay.
did. I have no idea.
Okay,
no idea.
because like they're
I feel
all
like everything's beta, isn't that?
Everything's beta.
There
I
are
like it.
some. I would say like
That's how I feel.
we're starting to get to the point where that with the Valve Index, and I think the Quest is getting pretty good to where like it was $3.99, and I was like, okay, I think I could get into that. But that's it is a lot for
I think I
VR.
can get into it.
It's too. I would say give it like maybe 2 or 3 more years, and it's gonna be amazing. Like okay, with Red Dead Redemption 2, it's like the graphics we're playing where it's like maxing out our systems. But if we can take that game,
It's crazy because it
and-
doesn't feel like that.
yeah, if we can
It's like
take
a lot of
that
brown.
game and just put that game at 2560 at 1440p and
In your
both
face.
eyes,
Right.
then it's like immersion factor. Like there's still a screen door effect and stuff where like the resolution isn't getting. Once we fix that resolution and the immersive factor, I really think VR is going to be like the method that everyone's going to want to play.
It is draining though. I'll probably
Yeah,
play
it's draining,
less.
though.
I'll probably play less
but it's
video
more.
games, but will enjoy it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Like
like
the days of me playing.
trade-off.
Did you? So as you
It's
guys,
fine with me.
Yeah.
Rusty, you're 30 or how old are you?
29.
Okay, so but you're right
Getting
near
there,
us.
yeah, I
We're
mean,
both
might as
30.
well
So
be the same.
but like when I was a kid, I could play for like 10 hours and not even break a sweat. Now I play for 2 hours and I'm like, okay, I gotta take a break or something. I'm about to have a
Gotta do
meltdown
laundry, I
here.
gotta
You
do-
know,
yeah.
like I gotta take a nap or something.
Yeah.
I don't know how some of these people do it.
Depends on the game for me. There
Red
are some
Dead
games I
Redemption,
could play
for
for
20 hours and be like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
What did I, yeah, it's always when you go to sleep, you're like, what did I? Why?
What?
Wow.
But my big beef is
Every now
a
and
lot
then
of the
it's
game is
fine.
fucking writing. You
It
just
is
put in the
fine.
cinematic mode and you hear them talking. You're like,
Yeah.
there's no skip here. You know.
But there is something nice about that pace because it is
Yeah.
so unique
Yeah.
that you do take your time, that you can kind of get in a flow. But then again, when I have to think about doing that, starting that up again,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't have enough time to start that up.
That's why I don't think I'm ever going to get back into the Outer Worlds. I would love to do another
Yeah.
playthrough
Yeah.
because there were 2 or 3 companions I didn't even have on my team. It's like, dude, there's a punch of the game I'm missing.
Right.
But at the same time, it's
like what?
I got to move on. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many other games.
But what?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
anything, it made me just want to.
Yeah,
I
about
have a really
16.
fucked up
Four.
analogy, but I'm going to skip. Like,
I was 16.
like, you
I
know,
would've knocked it out.
yeah. Like once you play through and you see all that you have, it's like, what am I waiting around for? You know.
Dude.
But
good deal.
we're about an hour 40 right now. You want to close out and you want to do Let's Play, or you want to?
Yeah, we can close out. I
Let's
was
play.
trying to
Let's
find a
play.
segue into Pokemon because I thought we were going to get into
Oh,
Pokemon.
yeah.
Well,
let's do that.
okay,
Let's
so
talk about
here's
Pokemon.
the
Let's
segue.
do-
Here's the segue. I'll segue. I just went to Japan. It was lit with Pokemon, dude. That's it. That's the segue. It felt like Pokemon.
Okay, so
I
what
felt
was
like
what was your first Pokemon?
What was my first Pokemon?
Yeah.
I played. I played it on color.
Wait,
so
what color though? I mean,
I had blue.
they're now
No,
in
but
the
he
sword
made
and
Game Boy
shield.
Color.
I
now.
had blue.
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 My brother had
That's
red.
1996.
I
That's
That
black
was
and white.
lit.
Okay.
That was not Game Boy
The best
Color.
thing about you're right. It was
Color
regular
was
Game Boy.
yellow.
I had
Blue
Game Boy.
and red
I
were
had Game
black
Boy
and white,
Pocket. I had Game Boy Pocket when I got it. Yeah.
The
Was
best.
that the
And
one?
by the way, right here, I was blue as well.
Dude, best thing about having a brother, that they got a different color Pokemon.
Yeah, my older brother had red.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
And then gold came out and we both shared that.
No, but
shared that.
It was red, blue, and then yellow came out, and then
Yellow,
after
I'm sorry,
yellow,
Yeah, yellow.
gold
yeah.
and
Sorry.
silver came out, and that was when
Yellow.
they came out with the new Pokemon. Like they had 150 out of what? I had
But
the
they'd
book,
always
I
alluded.
had them memorized, and
more.
then when they came out with the new one, you're like,
When
and
you
they-
watch the first episode of Pokemon, they're like, Ho goes across the sky.
Yeah,
like, this
that's
is
the
all,
Phoenix.
There's 150, but there's some that we don't know about. And there's like, little did we know that there'd be 1,000 and they'd
Yeah,
all be the
dude.
same
And
type.
Yeah.
Other
Different.
people
From-
knew about them.
yeah, from Pokemon
Different
200 to 1,000 is the same fucking thing.
structure.
They just
But
come out.
from 0 to
it's like,
150.
Here's
yeah.
Paperclip. He
Yeah.
does Paperclip
What's
things.
here's the
Hey,
question.
I hear you're working on a
Stupidest
Microsoft Word
Pokemon.
document.
You know.
Here's a question. What's the stupidest Pokemon?
Ooh, I don't know any of the new ones, but I'm pretty
Most
sure it's one of the
worthless
new
ones.
ones.
Ooh, there.
That you don't even want to catch.
Okay.
I need to
No,
do
no, no.
more research
Let's
on this
do-
because
okay,
there
let-
is definitely a Pokemon. You're like, what the fuck?
No, no, no.
Like they were like,
Let's-
we need to get 150, and you got 145, and you're like, shit, I
don't
gotta
even
come up
wanna
with
catch that.
the shittiest.
Here's the thing.
5,
Here's what
you
we
know?
should do because since we're older, we don't know the new Pokemon. Let's do.
We're
the-
boomers in the Pokemon
No,
world.
I'm still playing Pokemon Go,
No.
so I'm pretty up to date.
But let's do this. Let's do from the original.
That's the CIA.
From
spies
the
on
original
Pokemon Go, by the way.
150, what is the most useless one or whatever? The shittiest one from the original 150. That's what I'd say.
I think I gotta Google this.
Fucking Bellsprout, dude.
Bellsprout.
Bellsprout's pretty
See,
shitty.
I feel like-
Bellsprout goes to Victory Bell, which
looks
Victory Bell was
looks
crazy.
shitty as well
Dude,
though.
dude,
It looks.
you remember the Victory Bell, like the like it was like a drag queen
Don't-
kind of.
Don't Google most useless.
Dude, do you
Pokemon.
I want to know
Yeah.
other people's opinion about
Oh
this.
yeah, this is great.
This.
This is
Oh
what I mean.
yeah.
Oh,
no. the-
Magikarp.
Magikarp
How did we
was
the
say
worst,
Magikarp?
but
Yeah,
it was also
I just had a-
Gyarados. It evolved into Gyarados.
Dude, we all
I
would
thought
give
that
a-
was the most troll thing ever.
There's
Yeah,
gotta be
it's
one.
like you can have
It
this
was
shitty
the most
Pokemon
trolling
for.
before you could troll was fucking.
But the
magic.
discovery of the Water Stone was incredible.
Chansey got
Yeah.
Did anybody level their
But dude,
I
Magikarp
don't
the
know who
normal
that
way?
is. Oh,
I would
the
just use a
unknown.
Water Stone.
Unknown is pretty
no,
worthless.
so unknown was like very. It was like
It's cool how
it was
many
like-
there were.
See, I only care about the 150. I don't know about this unknown.
Yeah, this is getting into like
Yeah.
all of them. I think. Love Disc. Yeah, Love Disc is
Talonflame,
actually legitimately the worst one.
Tentacruel was cool.
But Tentacruel was cool.
Yeah.
Castform is actually the worst one. This is right. It
I
just
have
looks like a
no
sperm.
idea what that
It
is.
just looks like variations of a sperm.
It looks like Inside Out, the movie.
But then when you think
but
about it,
like
that's
in
actually a
Pokemon.
pretty cool
Sudowoodo's also
Pokemon.
worse.
You know,
The
like
worst.
like when you think about like if a sperm was just Pokemon, that'd be never mind. I'm just
yeah,
gonna move
yeah,
on.
You're a donor.
Pichu.
Pichu is actually pretty worthless as well.
Oh, it's a baby Pikachu.
Yeah, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't even like evolve into one.
Oh,
I don't think.
oh, this guy. Yeah, this Metapod guy.
Metapod.
Yeah,
He was just-
Metapod. He was.
Oh,
yeah.
Did they put Kakuna in here too?
Probably. Let's
Surely
go
they
on
won't.
number 1, the
Mm.
400
the-
non-shiny.
The fourth non-shiny Charmander.
Yeah, this is a weird like.
that's
website.
I hate
But I
this
would
list.
say, I would say,
I
yeah,
hate
dude.
it.
That
Dude, Love Disc is probably the worst one. But
No,
That's not the
150.
original
Yeah, out of the
150.
150.
So,
Dude, I want to show you my Pokemon card collection when we're done.
dude,
with
mine's
You
lit.
have it?
Yeah. Yes.
I have a
I
shiny
brought it back.
Japanese Charizard.
Shit.
Yeah?
dude.
Dude, okay.
That's a brag.
All right, I need it. I need your useless one right
my
here.
useless one.
I said Bellsprout.
I think Metapod's pretty good. Like it's
We
a
threw
guy in a cocoon. Here's the
He's
thing,
got tackle if you evolve him from a Caterpie.
but I'm not knowledgeable enough on the original Pokemon to remember. Like I remember Ditto was
could,
was
like,
cool
name 'em
because you
off
could
in
do
the
it, but
song.
like
Yeah.
really,
Yeah, dude.
Do it.
I feel really.
Do you really know it?
No.
You don't know the Poke
You
Rap?
wanna do
If
it?
they, yeah, dude. Dude, I used to know that stuff like the back of my.
Pikachu, Raichu,
No, seriously, at the wedding I just went to the other day, they just were playing the
Togepi!
Pokemon theme, and the whole crowd they were all gamers and cosplayers, and when the Pokemon theme went on, I've never seen the entire like dinner of people sitting stand up and rush the dance floor.
Really?
It was so cool. It was one of the coolest ones
Wow.
I've seen.
Farfetch'd. That he can go fuck himself.
Farfetch? What's Farfetch?
Farfetch is a bird. It's a flying type Pokemon.
That one's the stupid.
He had like a stick that he would
I
smack you with.
think Magikarp
It
is
looked like
probably
a
the most.
Green onion.
But Magikarp gets into Gyarados, so like
But-
that's troll mode.
But
dude.
Yeah, Victory Bell sucks. So Bellsprout is even worse.
Chansey, I would say I hate Chansey just because of like
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more of a Machamp kind of like.
Yeah, you look like a Machamp.
I have a
Yeah.
I like my Pokemon with a lot of toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
If we were all Pokemon,
yeah.
what would
Ah,
we be?
fuck. I'd be a Chansey.
Oh, I'd be the fat guy. What's the one guy?
I'd be a Wigglypuff.
What's the big fat guy? Not Slowpoke.
Slowbro.
No, Slowbro.
Fat Pokemon. You type Slowbro.
What the fuck?
Snorlax.
There's a whole ability.
Thick fat?
Fat.
That's a move?
Yeah, it's a type. Thick fat ability.
No.
Oh wow.
You mean Snorlax?
That's an actual
Snorlax. Yeah, Snorlax.
Like
Like
be a Snorlax?
Look at these.
Nah, you look more like a
anime.
you look like more like a Machamp. You just have to
Look at this
you just have to
fat
work out.
Eevee.
If you worked out, you'd
Is
be a
that
Machamp.
sexual?
I can fuck with that. What with this one? This Eevee?
Look at that. That looks sexual.
That's a fat.
That
Oh.
that Eevee has a pair of breasts.
has
Oh
a
my
gut.
gosh.
Dude, no, dude, those breasts, those are titty fucking.
That is fan
breasts.
fiction.
No.
That is-
Look at
No.
these. They all of
Oh
them.
my
Look at all of them.
God.
These are all by the
We
same
are
author.
going down a
Oh
path
my
I do not
God,
want to
This
go
is the
God.
first Google. This is the first image on
Oh,
Google.
Oh my
thick
God.
fat.
There,
Well, look at
somebody
this guy.
somebody did
Oh
fan
my
art where they
God.
made
You want to look at what we're looking at? Just
Pokemon.
Google thick fat from Pokemon.
This
Oh
kind of feels
my
good. Well, you know what? It
God.
feels
They are-
really bad for me. What?
What is
Whoa.
that?
Okay, you know what? Hey, look,
This
you.
is bad.
You too.
We have got.
It's
to
a fat
stop.
Get
Mew.
out of
What
here.
does Glork
I don't want to
mean?
see this. Glork.
Okay. Okay.
I don't even want to say
Yeah.
Glork for fear of Glork.
Oh, man.
My God.
It's just
There's a Jack
graphic.
Snorlax. I'm done.
Whoa! Look at that guy. That
That's
guy's
you,
fucking
dude.
badass.
That's
Whoa! Ah, yeah. Well, now look at this.
Jack Snorlax.
Fat tits again. Oh, he's got
What
suspenders.
is going on with the internet?
He's got suspenders.
No.
Done there. Okay.
Oh.
That was scary. The internet is not the same as I remember.
I don't want to
That
go
was scary.
outside
I don't wanna go
anymore.
I'm
Nerds
sorry.
are scary.
I'm sorry, guys.
Who are these people?
Yo, but no joke. That Slowpoke was looking thick. Yo,
You mean the Snorlax?
Oh my God.
one of them.
That was a Snorlax.
One of them is hurting for a squirt.
Slowbro's
What?
Okay, I don't have anything else after that. I'm sorry.
All right, I think this is a good place to end it. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I gotta go to the
This has
restroom.
been really fun. Rusty, thank you so
Yeah,
much
dude,
for
thank
being
you
with
guys for
us.
having me. This is
Anything you want to let anybody know about
Yeah,
yourself?
What do you,
Just throw it
follow
out
on
there,
your
my
I think
dude.
you guys already said it.
Plug it.
I have a Treehouse Social Club. That's my podcast. Social Club Pod on Instagram. You can kind of find everything there. Yeah, it's good times with comedians and other folks, mostly comedians. Also, yeah, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, my name. Cool. That's it.
Right on.
Instagram's where everything's happening.
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
So,
Yeah.
You on TikTok yet?
yeah.
Wait,
I
really?
Yeah. I
Oh,
don't think it's
I'm
a place
sorry.
that anybody really
I'm
wants
sorry,
to see
no.
me do anything.
It's
but,
just-
I do enjoy it. Because I was a big Vine fan. And
Yeah.
Nope.
Good old days.
Nope. Get that out of here.
Complex Vine. Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Look out for our Let's Play. We're gonna play some games. So check that out as well.